G'day and welcome to the Inforunners live stream here with Algared and apparently in his pajamas or nude, whatever he prefers. We've also got Badges, but he's not on camera today. How you doing, Badges?
Yeah.
Since
this is not my pajamas, by the way. That's
Algared wears that to bed. That's his.
I was going to say,
That's right.
I don't believe you. I think you wear that to bed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Actually, you know those kind of like print stuff? We should probably get Algared like a casual t-shirt, but it has that on it, so he can like have casuals but look uncasual at the same time. That would be funny, actually.
The aprons.
If we ever get into merchandise, we should do that. That you just have Algared's suit as a shirt, and then it just says like Inforunners on like a little lapel or something. That'd be kind of funny.
Just called the Algared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Absolutely.
I'd wear that. I could wear that because I could look like Algared, as professional as Algared, but then be as casual as I am. So yeah, that'd be funny.
That's trying to sit between the levels.
Yep.
Yeah. You don't seem as sold as us, Algared, for some reason, and I'm not sure why.
What's that? Sorry?
You don't seem as sold
as us on the concept.
No, it's because I'm currently in game, so you know it's I'm a mere male.
Jay Seraph says this is live. Is this live?
Yes.
I can never tell. No, it's not. No, Jace.
No, we're never live.
It's not live.
Never live.
Not live at all. I'm not
pre-recorded.
reading your question. It's pre-recorded. I'm a psych from the future. Hey, Sword. How you doing, man? All right, so people are starting to come in now. All right, so plans for
Lovely
today.
to see you all. I can't see you at the moment because I'm in game, but
yeah. So we're gonna
go
through the Expanse at some point. We're gonna get, because Algared and I haven't. I think Algared and I have probably only had about 20 minutes talking about this because Algared's been a bit busy. We're gonna go through some weird stuff that we found. We're also gonna take your questions.
Just going to try and expand my mind on the things that he's found and try and convince me that it's accurate.
And then
he hasn't told me about it because he says, "Hey, I'll leave it for the stream."
And then
yes, and I'm talking over you. Get used to it.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I am used to it. What are you talking about? And then we're doing it. How long have we doing this now? 4 or 5 years? Like we're getting there. And then we're also going to go in game and look at the whole series because Algared has got that working finally for him on the PT, which is what we were trying to do last week.
Right.
And we'll also take some questions from you guys as well. So. Actually, that's the other thing. We might actually buy an Expanse to give away. That's something we're talking about. We'll do that with you guys if we do that. But we'll probably buy it and then we'll review it when it comes out, which is what because that's one of the things we're expecting. I'm kind of expecting.
We'll buy it. We'll review it and say it's shit, and then give it away.
Wow.
Yeah. Algared's not harsh at all. Fair as fuck there, Algared. But anyway, we'll probably have a look at it and then give it away as a giveaway prize at some point. So I've actually got one in my cart, so we'll probably buy that live. But I'm hoping I can get away with the one I put in my cart yesterday because it comes with the skin. If not, we're going to pay the same price and then buy another $10 on the skin. But we'll see what happens. So yeah.
So what you're saying is now everyone's going to watch in the hope that they get to see you put your credit card details in.
Well, I can drag that off screen. That's fine. Like I can go. Look, we have the technology.
You don't have to. You can keep it on the screen if you like.
So this is what I had in my cart. So I had the one from yesterday in my cart, but now it's changed. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But
yeah, the one that was available for the Chairman's Club had a nice blue skin.
Yeah.
Whereas the new one, the one that's out today, doesn't seem to have the blue skin. Same price, but no skin.
Algared, we are not on the same server. Just out of curiosity.
So
we're having
PTU.
Yeah, me and Algared are having a weird thing where when we add each other as friends, it's showing us as deleted user random number, and it's like what? So we can't really add each other as friends in the PTU at the moment. So the joy of bugs. So yeah, we might have a little issue going later on to look at stuff, but we'll leave it and see what happens. But I'm sure you guys are running into random bugs as well. They're a little bit all over the shop at the moment as well. There's a question there from Timble, if you want to answer that one, Algared. How many Expanses did you buy?
At the moment, I have bought none. Not that I have an aversion to the Expanse. I actually quite like the look of the Expanse and the gameplay it offers for a single player.
It's all right. It's all right, guys. I'll get him
well,
checked
actually,
out
it doesn't.
after the show. We'll get him checked out. We'll get him taken down to the doctors and make sure he's okay. There's something completely wrong with him.
No. At the moment, the inoculation of the the double inoculation of the Odyssey and Steel is still working.
Ooh.
I did have a relapse with the Quantum Bike because I figured that would give me a few LTI tokens in case I wanted to use them. But yeah, I like the look of the Expanse. I think it will be a good ship for a group of friends, not necessarily a solo ship. Just because you need another ship, you need to be working with someone for it to work.
Quick question. Remember last night I asked you to check out the packs? Did you get a chance to check out the packs for the Expanse?
I didn't get a chance to pack up the packs. I did not. So, nope. I did look at that one pack with the vulture in it.
Yeah, Brian's.
And it's like, why?
Brian's in chat. He says he got the set, so I'm assuming he means the Refinery and the Prospector, which is a good one in the LTI. But maybe that's something else we can look at. We actually probably do that now. Actually, have a quick look at these packs and discuss them. Especially why Badges are still here. Badges, you're going to probably leave halfway through, aren't you, man? Because your Sleepy Slew is coming up.
Yeah, it's fairly late for us, and it is obviously
it's like 11 p.m. for him. So
yeah, it's the bank holiday weekend, but I need to be barely functional tomorrow to get some stuff done, including hopefully a new video soon. Shameless plug.
Yeah, no,
shameless yet seamless
plug. But I did see some of your cinematography and editing of that, and it looks pretty slick.
Yeah,
thank you, mate.
I'll give you a shameless plug. So there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Put it this way, I wouldn't spend 2 hours to get one shot, which is what he did. So, no, I got too much time. That's way too long. All right.
Oh, the time lapse, yes, yeah.
The sunset one. You got
to. And in fairness, you were also relearning the stuff because it had been so long since you'd
Yeah, and in fact, DaVinci Resolve is new software for me, so it's not so much relearning as learning, for the first time, which is fun but challenging and ultimately very, very time consuming. But the things we do, to make things better and push out better content.
The things we do for our hobbies and enjoyments.
Absolutely.
I'm just
I don't like that change.
So
what's that?
Well, in the PTU, the ship manager thing didn't zoom in. It's kind of like distant, so
it sucks.
I don't like that change at all.
Yeah, it's really annoying because something I know exactly what he's talking about because it's been pissing me off too, but I don't know if it's a change or permanent.
I really hope it's not a change, or I hope it's a bug and not a change, because it is. Sure. Yeah, I don't like it. It's.
I'm having a massive.
It might be just getting used to it, but
Oh, that's why. It's so the Roughneck. Okay, there's now like 6 versions of them because there's. Oh, they removed the other one.
What one?
Wow! So they've only got the Miss Minus pack. Wait, Miss Minus pack, and then they got the Roughneck pack. What the fuck happened to the other one? There was a third one yesterday, Algared. There's only 2 now.
There was a third one yesterday.
Yeah, there's only 2. So maybe okay. So there's the Roughneck pack and the Miss. That's why I was having trouble loading stuff because okay. So this is So you can you let me know which one you got, Brian? He says yes, the Roughneck. So I'm assuming that. Did you get the Roughneck, Brian, or did you get the Minus pack? Just let us know in chat when you get a second. This is the one that I thought was fairly good, right? But the only problem is it's setting up for a mining vein that is starting only, which is kind of my issue because, like, if you're going to spend money, you're kind of better to put them in bigger, better ships, as we always say. But in the game right now, this will be a lot of fun. I that said, though, my recommendation would be enjoy them now and turn them into something else later. What about you, Algared?
Yeah, like what are the ships in the pack? I know there's the Expanse and
the Prospector.
And the Prospector.
And yesterday it came with lifetime insurance. Today it only comes with 6 months insurance. So now I can't get behind that anymore. That's really weird. Unless I've opened the wrong one. Just give me a second.
You've probably got the credit version, not the War Bond version.
Let me double check. And it's loading. I don't know why it's having massive issues loading. Maybe this site's like getting smashed. So yeah, it's not load. It's not. It doesn't want to load the War Bond one. But I think you're right.
It'd be interesting to see what today does to the funding tracker.
Welcome to living.
What yesterday did to the funding tracker.
Welcome to living at the arse end of the world. This is what it's like me trying to buy anything when there's a sale on. It's just impossible. Because I've got to go look up Tasmania on a map. The next stop after me is...
Brian Mackey says War Bond LTI and non-War Bond is 6 months.
Yeah. Yes, Roughneck War Bond.
Thanks,
it has
Brian.
the LTI. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Okay.
Not Brian Mackey, but Brian McKee.
It finally loaded. Again, remember these are Australian pricing because I got to go down here and change this thing, and I just can't be bothered because it's obviously having trouble loading. But yeah, you do get the lifetime with that. So yeah, I had the wrong one open. So you got the Roughneck. So the other option was the Expanse, the Prospect, the Freelancer, Mac Drake, Vulture. Same problem as the other pack. Like these are all great in game now, especially this year with the salvage coming online. And we were talking before the show. Some people are recommending the Freelancer over the Whole A. But the comparisons, I won't call names, Algared, but you know who I'm talking about. The comparisons they're calling between is one thing that a lot of people don't know about right now is when you are flying a ship in the game right now, they are wired up as if they're full of cargo. So when you fly a Whole A, it goes slow as shit out of atmosphere because it's acting like it's full of cargo. And when you take that into account and it carries more cargo, I think the Whole A is a little bit underrated by some people. So if you're trying to compare apples to apples right now, you can't do that because they're full of cargo. So you got to take that into account when you're doing your guides and stuff. And some people are just missing that. Sorry, Algared.
The other thing I thought of. Oh, come on, let me get into my ship, you rotten thing. Typical.
Yeah,
there it is. Nope.
What about you, Badges? You haven't really said much on the packs.
Massive fan of the packs. Both of them. Obviously the savings in the Roughneck pack are better, obviously, because there's more in it and it's a more expensive pack, so of course you would save more. But yeah, I think I was quite surprised, if you remember yesterday when I looked, that it had the Freelancer, was it Max in it as well. I thought that was a nice little addition. I'm quite impressed with the whole thing, actually.
I can't remember if it was you or SA in our talks, and he brought it to my attention. These have got the biggest discounts on them that we've had in quite a while as packs go. And let's be honest,
that was SA that raised that.
Yeah, because some of the savings of the packs in, say, their last 12 months have been, don't bother, they're a trap. And I think they're starting to realise that people realise packs are a trap. And so they actually are starting to give decent discounts. Sorry, Algared.
Yeah, the pack. I agree. The packs are a trap. They do give you a discount, but if you're looking at if you're going to be doing CCUing ships, you can work them and get bigger discounts through them. But if you're after the pack itself, or you're not going to be able to be playing a CCU game, they give you the best option to get the biggest discount.
Yes.
So there are advantage and disadvantage, but they are problematic when you're trying to do, if you're CCUing, you can get ships that are so much cheaper by CCUing, and packs just make it difficult to CCU. I'm a pack lover, as Execute will tell you. I've got multiple packs. Most of my ships are in packs of one form or another. But you can recently get a better saving.
Yeah, they just haven't been as good of late, have they? I'm trying to remember, Algared, like way back when, and this is ages ago, so you've probably forgotten this, but I remember ages ago we were talking to a guy, and he was looking at getting this singular pack, and it cost X. So I'm just going to say it cost $600, right?
Yeah.
Just for an example. So this is just to show you what I'm talking about. And there were two packs that were $300, but it worked out better for him to get the two packs and buy CCUs.
Yeah.
because of the saving. So yeah, indigestion. Always look at how much you're saving on a pack, and the other thing you want to do is take CCUs into account. Can you get to the same, 5 ships here, or ships you actually want to get to through 2 packs rather than 1, and it costs you less? Because yeah, we've seen that before. Like, I think they're finally getting their financial pack game in because like packs will come out and we'll just go, no, don't bother. It's a trap, like, especially if you're saving $30 and it costing you 600. Like, the lack of freedom can be, how many we'll put it this way, Algared, of the Fix My Fleece that we do, I would say majority of them have a pack in them. Would you agree?
Yeah, a lot of them have a pack, and
yep.
And I find it's not so much for packs that are a problem. And packs can be really good. The problem is that if you're trying to save money these days, if you get a pack with, say, $20 discount equivalent to all your ships, you can often get those ships for a significant discount by starting with a smaller ship and then CCUing up.
Oh yeah, the Warbond CCUs. We haven't even got onto that yet. Yeah, for sure.
So when you're doing the Warbond CCU chain, you can get all of those ships for cheaper. And I don't think you can. If you're saying, "Oh, I'm getting the Warbond, the Warbond pack because it's saving me this much money," or I'm getting a credit pack because it's saving me this much money.
It's a really good point.
If you're Warbond CCUing, you can often get them cheaper.
Just off the cuff, Algared, now you've mentioned that, maybe that's what they're seeing, though. There's a lack of pack sales because now people have picked up on the Warbond CCUs. People are just buying multiple Warbond CCU chains. And so they're like, now we're going to make more packs enticing. But that's a good thing. But man, now I really think about that. Yeah, the CCU, why would you bother? And I have said that before.
I think the packs really come into their own, and this is where the Warbond purchase of packs kind of says you don't want to do that. Is the fact that if I've got lots of credits and I'm trying to get ships, buying those game packs is often the best way to get those ships cheaper.
Ooh, I gotta ask Algared, is that guy in chat Elguardo that guy you were talking about to me earlier this morning?
I'm just looking.
He says, because you talked about a Taurus, and he says, melted my Taurus and got the Expanse. So I'm curious if that's the guy you were talking about.
Well, I don't know, because I don't know who they are in our Discord.
We'll look at it later. But yeah, okay, that's an interesting choice to melt a cargo ship and go to a refinery.
Yeah, look.
That's a weird choice because you're kind of independent with a cargo ship, but you're not independent with a refinery because you're relying on other people to bring you stuff. So hey, you do you.
Eduardo says, "No, I just arrived."
It's all good. Just a coincidence.
But in terms of the packs with the Expanse, I do like the look of the Expanse, but my problem with the Expanse is that you do need another ship to use it.
Yeah, I do like my kind of response on the 2 packs at the end of the day is that I don't think I'd almost keep any of the ships in the pack, but because of the discount on the LTI tokens, if you're going to go to ships above, I can totally get behind that, so you can play with them now and move on to stuff later. But yeah, sorry, Algared, you were going to say.
So the pack with the Hull A and the Expanse, I think is a great deal. If you're looking at working with a friend.
Can I correct you?
It gives you that option.
You mean the Expanse and the Prospector, but I got what you meant. Just for
sorry,
clarification.
Yeah, the Expanse and the Prospector, not the Hull A. I'm surprised that they didn't have the Hull A in one of the packs, like a 3-ship pack with the Hull A, the Expanse, and the Prospector, because those 3 ships really do, I think, work well together. But that's just my thoughts. I'm surprised that the Drake Salvager ship is in one of those packs.
Not really.
To me, that doesn't make sense. It's a great ship.
Let me explain. Let me explain. It's a refinery. You take shit from the Vulture, you take it to the refinery ship, and you refine it. It makes perfect sense. They're all started.
If the refinery ships
It's all starter-based stuff. So you basically take the salvage and refine it in the Expanse. You take the prospector and you refine it in the Expanse. It all makes sense.
If the salvage is stuff that can be refined.
And I'm pretty sure it is, because back in the day,
and
the Reclaimer had a refinery on it. It's now called a processor, so it's changed. But it used to have a refinery on it. But we'll see. And my camera's frozen.
Yeah, me, I would have liked to have thought they at least stuck with the brand. You know, but yeah, that's just me.
Yeah. I don't know why my camera keeps freezing. Oh, I'll check it up there, see if I can fix it later. All right. What about you?
I got distracted there because
your final thought.
The hull A was going wacko in atmosphere.
Your final thoughts, Badgers, on the packs?
Yeah, you know, I got to say, whether it's surprising or not that Drake is in there, the Roughneck pack would certainly be the one I'd be looking at buying around about now. I love the synergies within that pack, you know, and the fact that you can get your friends involved, you know, and effectively, you know, call out the ships, let them do it, and you've got your own little industry pack there going. And like you said, you know, maybe the Vulture will directly interface with the Expanse as well. That'd be cool. And have your own little industry org effectively with 3 or 4 mates going. That'd be nice. But yeah, definitely worth looking at if people want to splurge money and save money doing it. Then
yeah. So the other thing I'll probably list out to people is if you have any ship that has some kind of refinery on it, you'll probably get access to the Expanse when it goes in game. So at the moment, take the Starfarer. We know the Starfarer is a refueler and a refinery. I would not be surprised at when it comes online, if the Starfarer doesn't get the refining straight away, that therefore you would get access to an Expanse. And then if you look at, say, another ship, like I said, like the Orion has a refining on it, I would not be surprised if that becomes one of the loaners for that.
Agreed.
So keep that in mind, is all I'm saying.
And I actually think that Roughneck pack, even though I'm querying the inclusion of a Drake ship, and that probably just shows my love of Drake. But I will also say that I actually like Drake better than I like Consolidated Outlands. So.
Yeah.
But it does give you not just an industry starter pack that you can do with all your mates. It does give you the option as a to do solo refining, solo mining, solo.
Yeah. The only 2 things I would say to that is
salvage yourself.
If you're doing the solo stuff, why don't you buy one ship and your mates all buy one ship? So that's another way to disperse it and save money. And then because you can't fly them all at the same time. And the other thing is, like, again, we always talk about consolidating up to one bigger ship. So again, if you know the biggest ship, you can get it as a loaner as well. So 2 birds, 1 stone. Like, I can't analyze this as a general piece of advice, but if you were to ask me, like one person asked me specifically, I could tailor it to that one person. But you got to kind of measure it yourself. And it's the same thing with the packs, like what you were saying about the CCUs Algared. Like I still lean back on that. I think you'd get far more savings through that than you would through these packs.
Yep. These days, the only real value I can see in a pack is really for people with credits. Because if you don't want to put more money in, but you're after the ships and you're after discounts, the packs are the way you get your discount. You know, you milk stuff, buy your. You can almost tell buy your pack, and
you can almost tell though how you've done it, Algared. You went and brought LTI tokens because that works out cheaper. You use your little LTI tokens and get your Warbond CCU discount threads, and you play the long game. You know, that's how you get a $95 carrack, people. You know, that guy played the CCU game for 2 years. He got a free Gladius, and then he took the Gladius and just used CCU chains and got a $95 Gladius. Like, you want a $95 Gladius, you play it for 2 years. That's all it took. 2 years of play. That was 4 sales. Oh, no, sorry, 3? Yeah, 4 sales. And he was able to get that price. So, you know, play the long game and you might be able to do the same thing. But yeah. I think do we want to move on to the Expanse itself, guys? And I do have a little bit of a question.
Actually, before we do that, I do want to go back to those couple of questions we had last week, which ended before we.
All right, let's do that.
We
first
came in after we'd said we weren't taking them. We had one from Timble. Sorry, we had one from Jonathan Brand who said, "Do you think we could have a mecha, i.e., human, alien, or Xeon?" And it's a bit confusing the way he's worded, but he was basically asking do you think we'll get something that's a Titan suit, but not a Titan suit, but's kind of flyable like a ship?
I think
my answer to that is
the simple answer to that is Titan suits will just be varied and different. You know, so but if you go back and look at the older videos, they actually refer to Titan suits as exosuits. And you know as well as I do from all the cartoons and anime and all that type of stuff that you've and TV shows that we've ever seen, they have different variations. And let me put it this way: combat exosuit, industrial exosuit. This thing is going to look like a power loader. This thing's going to look armed to the teeth and covered in guns. Just the looks there are going to be completely different. So I'm expecting variety, different manufacturers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, we can already EVA in our regular suits. So a Titan suit's just going to give you more ability to do that. So
it might even have more fuel, Algared and stuff like that too. So
it may have more maneuvering fuel. Will you be able to quantum in them? I don't think so.
That's one. Not to go down the. I just want a yes or no answer because I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. But to just give an example, you and I have often talked about the cutter for the Reclaimer, and we both speculate that could highly likely be an exosuit, Titan suit of some description. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and we like the idea of it being a Ripley, loader.
Yep, 100%.
Get
away from her, you bitch.
So, the second question we had from last week before we move on was a question about the mole. And this was from David Mirodijuan. And he said, do you think the mole will refine in the future? I'm pretty sure that was the idea from the beginning. Mole could never refine. It could sort the ore, which was better than the prospect of it didn't actually sort it. So there was a different level of sorting. So it got rid of all your inert material. That was the key thing that I understood the mole had over the prospector. My memory could be wrong, but
you are correct.
Certainly.
No, you're correct. And we'll talk about that in a minute because the next question by death factor will go into that. So just hold that thought.
Yep.
Or we could do that one now and then come back to the question from last week. So let's do that one now because then it's a continuation. So it says likelihood of an Argo refinery ship, and I think it's high as hell. That was one of the things that came out of our thing. It was very clear because the Expanse is so tied to the Prospector. It's very obvious, and we're almost expecting it to be Argo branded as well. So like an Argo refinery ship. And because of what Algared said just a minute ago, the sorting, that ship wouldn't need the sorter. So then it gives it more space. So we literally, like when I look at the mole as it is, you get 3 laser operators, a co-pilot, and a pilot. So I'd imagine the new one of this would be a co-pilot, a pilot, and 3 refining consoles. Because it doesn't need the sorting. And it wouldn't be, you could almost, where how the Prospector's got to go to the same place as the Expanse. The mole is on a medium pad, which is the same size as the Cutlass. You would expect that this ship would be able to go on the medium pads just like the mole. And then it makes it all concise and they can all go the same way, same size jump points, all that type of stuff. So it just makes sense, yeah, Algared?
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair cop.
Could be wrong on a few, one way or the other.
Could be wrong.
But the working together... The working together thing, though, like you work that through how the Hull A, the Prospector, the Freelancer, and the Expanse, they all land on sand pads. Like it makes a lot of sense.
I really like the idea of the Hull A, the Expanse, the Expanse, and the Prospector as 3 people working together as a nice little starter profession team. John Citizen, as we know, he loves his Prospector over the mole. He'll take it out all the time, and he got
an Expanse, by the way, already.
Yeah.
Are you surprised? No one's surprised.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit.
My concern over the Expanse, and it's the same problem that everyone says about me with all my ships, right? You know, it's how are you going to fly them all? And the Expanse and the Prospect you can use by itself. You can mine, you can take it back to a refinery and do stuff. The Expanse, you actually need to have someone for a mining ship.
Yeah.
There, or are you going down to a planet buying the? Oh, I suppose you could go down to a planet, buy the raw materials.
Thanks, Starlet. I just read what you said in chat. Yeah, cool. We'll do that.
You know, buy the raw materials from the station and then refine it and take it in and do stuff that way. But it really feels like, on the surface, the Expanse is a solo ship, but you need to have another ship with you.
Yeah,
so it's not really a solo ship.
Yeah, it really isn't, because you're literally relying on other players. You are the middleman. There was and if you piss that Prospect off, he's going to go, "Fuck you! I'm going to go sell it as it is, or go to the refinery." So you are literally, like I asked the question: are you going to be playing with randoms, or are you trying to be friendly to randoms, or are you only working with people you know? Like there's some. So like when Aguado said he picked it up, that was my first thing. Like there's just a big unknown there for me. Like, prepared to make friends. You better be a friendly person, Aguado, or you're going to be in a bit of trouble, I think. So yeah.
The only way I could see it working as solo ship is, and I literally thought of it while we were doing the stream, is going down to the planet and buying the raw materials from a mining outpost.
Can I just, I need to hijack this for a minute, because we're getting away from the Argo refinery thing, and there's still things I want to say, because I remember Badges was talking, you know how, so we've got the MISC as a set for starters. I think there's going to be a set of things for Argo, and I believe it was you, Badges, that brought up the raft. Yeah, was that you, mate?
Yeah.
Or was it SA? So tell me your thought and follow it through. It makes a lot of sense. So talk about how you're talking about the large cargo containers. So just do that for me, and because I think
that might have been SA.
Okay, then what SA said then was, if you think about how the raft carries those special bigger cargo crates, can you imagine? So instead of saddlebags, after the Argo refinery ship, it puts them into the larger cargo containers, and so then it's carried by the raft rather than a whole series. Because then all of a sudden that brings it back to being, the MISC have the starters. Argo have the medium, and there might be something down the track for another manufacturer. I just found that really interesting, and I never looked at it like that. And I was like, so they're building sets of ships that work together, and that's very on brand type of thing. How in real life. So I just found that interesting. It could be a thing, yeah. And so I started visualizing this refinery ship that has those big cargo crates on the back. And they're stored in the back and stuff like that. And and SA and I then followed that for about 20 minutes, going through all these, like, you could visualize it, because it, like, literally, if you look at the Expanse, you can see it looks similar to the Starfarer, and it would be the same thing with that refinery ship. One of the things about refinery ship is kind of like the ship over the top and some kind of cargo underneath. Except Expanse is obviously side on, but you can look at the Expanse from behind, and there's a lot of similarities back of the back of that and the Starfarer. So it's almost like you can see the adaptation from one to the next, linked through the different refinery ships. Sorry, Algared, going back to what you were. Sorry, I got used to the reversal. Back to what you were saying. Sorry to hijack you.
Yep. So. Yeah, the only thing I can see for the Expanse being a solo ship is going down to the planet, buying the raw materials, and then refining them and taking them then selling them off. So,
but that'd be difficult hand mining, wouldn't it? For ages.
Well, it's not hand mining. No, you're going down to an outpost, buying the laranite from the outpost, from the mining outpost, and then refining it and then selling it on.
All right, well, since we've talked so much about the Expanse, Algared, I think we should actually go talk about the Expanse, and we'll come back to the questions because we're on point at the moment. So let's talk about the Expanse.
Yep.
Because we've kind of skirted around it for almost half an hour now. So just get us over to the browser. And and I was moving myself in game. So
I'll point out to people that I'm currently in a PTU. I'm taking a hull A out of Orison's not Orison, out of Orison up to space, and I'm still not out of atmosphere yet.
Yeah, Algared's mere male too, so as soon as he starts multitasking, his brain goes to mush like the rest of us. So
that's right. I'm mere male.
If anyone watched Board Gamer's video, he literally just reads the website and goes through everything. But it was still worth watching for me. I went through this with a fine-tooth comb. There is a lot of stuff, like there is stuff hidden even in the images, like where is it? This really, I think it's the third image. Oh god, this thing is terrible. It doesn't auto stop, it just auto plays. There's no pause button. Poorly designed. But yeah, this is one we talked about on the episode as well. Really cool to see how that works. Yeah, but when you're kind of going through this ship, we had a lot of questions, like, because the SCU here is clearly talking about the saddlebags, because the 8x8, and a lot of the argument, I think the fundamental argument, you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong here, or the disagreement between SA was the real big disagreeer in that chat. But Badgers, you speak your piece, because I haven't really heard you talk much about this, but I think there's a lot of room here for liquid and gas, because we know liquid and gas from the stuff from Dan Truffin is a thing for refining. So I think there is more cargo here they're not talking about. What's your say on that?
Yeah, I think the most obvious thing to point out is the disparity between what it says in the matrix.
Oh yeah.
The ship matrix, and what it says on the release page. And of course, that could be details changing. But we kind of, I think, there is an element of, they were saying with the Prospector, the saddlebags aren't modeled yet. So whether that means that as in detachable, so whether that means that, that their cargo will be added to the Prospector, whether the cargo will be adjusted, or whether we've got the right cargo numbers, and are just seeing we're just seeing it represented in the hull as opposed to in the saddlebags themselves. But yes, they said very firmly that the Expanse is a general purpose refining ship, and when we start looking into liquids, I'd see no reason that wouldn't include liquids.
Yeah. Because,
it talks about everything. They talked about it having potentially up to 6 different refining processes. Because it has 6 different, they call it refining reactors now, I think.
Yeah, that was the other thing that was confirmed, because we had a lot of things going backwards and forwards. Are they refiners? Are they reactors? But let me just find it. Bear with me. I'm not remembering where it is. Oh, here we go. Refinery reactors. It literally lists them as refinery reactors. So, yeah, that confirms that. Yeah, so just real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you go on. This is what you were actually talking about. So here you're looking on so this is the Expanse page. Cargo capacity is 128, but then when you go back to the actual sales page, it's 64. So what we're assuming here is, if you know anything about some of the cargoes, they're listed as specialty type cargoes. An example of that is the Reclaimer. The Reclaimer has probably the biggest cargo of any ship in the game, but because of the whole sorting area, it's now listed as specialized cargo. So they're probably only listing the cargo they want you to know about, because they have to confirm liquid and gas, you see, and so that changes whether you buy it or not. So in this case, they're just listing just the ore, but that's half the cargo. So that means, that makes sense to me. Liquid and gas is half, because they use the same style of cargo container, because liquid and gas can be stored in the same type of tanks. And then the other half is solid. And it's the same thing with the Starfire. If you look at that has the square ones for solids and the round ones for liquid and gas. So yeah. Sorry, Algared, you going to say?
The other thing is, it could also be talking about the general cargo of ship carriers as well. So there's a lot of questions I haven't answered in terms of the cargo that's on the ship. We certainly know with the Starfarer there are containers instead of round ones, there's square ones for solid cargo. So there's no reason why there can't be standard UEE cargo containers.
And this is the other thing I keep coming back to, though, is just the shape of this thing at the bottom. And I got to turn off this rotating thing. But yeah, if this looks tanky like, you know, like, and very circular and bulbous. And there are reasons for that, like, because obviously it's got to land on the landing gear and stuff like that. But it just, why are these big bulges on either side and stuff like that? So I'm half expecting that there are, you know, at least 4 tanks somehow placed around this structure. Things like, why does it have a door that you walk on and then you go up the elevator or ladder, where every other ship in this size class from MISC just has a ladder? You know, so, and that's probably because you can walk up to a screen that's here and see the storage of the tanks. Like you kind of, you know, in the Caterpillar in the modules, you can see what your manifesto is for that cargo pod. Same thing. You can look at it and go, oh, I've got this cargo here and here. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think.
Sorry, and Guido's saying in the chat, I don't understand the front ramp, and that was where my brain went straight away. I'm like, why is there a room there? Why is there a ramp? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I'm in with the whole idea of it being a walkable space. I don't see why they wouldn't have that in already, because there's plenty of stuff that you know we can't have access to at the moment because it's not implemented, but we can see. But I agree with the principle that, you know, that certainly that's an awful lot of space where there's nothing in, and it says small fuel tanks, so you know, for this thing. So, you know, I think it's definitely going to have some sort of, you know, it'll be able to refine, I think, basically everything. It'll obviously do it in terms of the, you know, if you look at this thing versus the Starfarer is going to be more efficient at refining fuel because that's all it refines. You know, you can, a general purpose thing being...
The advantage there too is because you've got the boom arm and that, and you've only got half the number of reactors. Chances are you're going to just be tailored to fuel.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And here's the thing: if this thing picks up quantanium as a solid, and we know quantanium goes from a solid to a liquid, what does this do with the liquid? It either ejects it into space or it's got to store it somewhere. And we've had people say, oh, you can probably store them in the saddlebags. And this is not confirmed, but it's speculated. But they have, if you go in game and look at those saddlebags, they've got perforated holes. That is not for, you know, a thing. And if you look at how a Starfarer stores liquids one way and solids another, and if you look at all the cargo containers, we've got solid cargo containers and we've got liquid cargo containers. I think that's not a hop, skip, and a jump to imagine that they have to be stored separately, right? So when you work through is if it can't store them in the saddlebags, where does it go? So and then the other argument people brought up is, well, maybe they have special saddlebags for liquid. We haven't seen them, but yeah, it could be a possibility. But I'm more likely go to is, why the hell is the bottom of this ship so big and got nothing there? And yes, arguments came up where it's got thrusters and landing gear and all that, but that explains maybe half the space at most.
Well,
so what's the other half?
I think it explains 75% of the space execute. So you got your landing gear on either side that takes up.
Now we're getting semantic. We're getting semantic, and we're doing it live.
You've got the thrusters that take up some of the space. There is some space that is unknown about, and that could be, it may not be. Why they're there? I also think it's there because it lands on its landing gear. It's a big, heavy ship. Need to have that wider base. But 6 to 1, half a dozen another.
Yeah. So Algared and SA were, I would have to say, in the minority, though. You were not exactly on the same page as everyone else, but that's fine. And everyone's going to disagree. But as I said, it's just speculation. So you throw it out there and we kind of see where it goes.
Precisely.
Yeah. So this is all...
My biggest question is that big bulge on the back there. What are they for?
Yeah, again, it falls into
those
the
big things on the side. The big hips or the big thighs make me think that could be some type of storage tank.
Yeah, so essentially,
the wide base down the bottom to me just is non sequitur.
So essentially, what you're doing though is, if this is 64 SCU on the saddlebags, you are trying to look for 64 SCU of liquid space, and I think you can do that. I think you can look at this and see, where could I place 64 worth of SCU on this ship in places things are not being used, and I think you can do that. You know, those 2 big bulges you're talking about, I think that's at least 4 saddlebags worth of stuff, and the gap here in the middle, where there is nothing, I think that's another 4 saddlebags. So in my mind, it makes sense.
Because, of course, the other option is that that remaining storage space is inside the reactors themselves. You know, because
yeah, that got brought up as well. No, I was just agreeing with you. That's all. Something I do want to bring up that I was talking to Piggles after you left, Algared. That Piggles brought up when we were initially talking about how this could bend. He also mentioned that there's these massive exhaust thrusters here as well. So if this folds down like we are possibly suspecting, there's already a thruster right there. So there's your 4 VTOLs. This wouldn't need to bend at all. It would just downward thrust. But I am wanting this to fold down, but I'm not sure it's going to, because it's also got this fan grill system on it that's really, really weird. So it could just sit there and thrust downwards using this little fan grill, but time will tell. It's really weird.
I would like it to turn down because of it. Well, the front ones can't because of the wide base there.
So one of the things I want to go through some of the weird things we found here on these arms too. You can actually see these hydraulic piston things. So if this pushes, that actually would rotate these that way. It could also make it so the arms fold up. So I'm not entirely like, and then we've had people say, oh, they're just rule of cool and they sit there and they do nothing. So that these could animate, but one of the reason why I lean towards that they animate is this is all disconnected from the ship. If you go through and look at the model, like I'll try and show you the best I can. If you actually go in here and look, it's all, and you have to forgive me because I'm obviously not going to be able to find the angle when I want to find it, but they're not connected if you can get behind it. And generally when they're separated models like that, it's for animation purposes. So if this is animating, then you can start speculating intents on how it animates. My first thought was it all packs up and folds up next to the side. And one of the reasons I think that too is this back saddlebag room. I actually think this is where it, after it sucks up a container and empties it, it just tractor beams it into the back and stores them. And so I actually think you could fly out with all the saddlebags internal, fold out the wings and then move the bags out with the tractor beam if that's what you want to do, but that's not confirmed. That's just all speculation. So, but I get the feeling this thing packs away and becomes smaller, but we're gonna have to wait and see.
The other thing that people need to remember about the sales document and the brochure is that it's always written with an in-game focus. So it's written with the viewpoint on the sales yard of MISC selling their ship. And that always makes deciphering what CIG are doing with their ships hard as hell. Because they've been only telling us what the supplier would be saying, the manufacturer's saying. You need to get the we almost need them to put out the sales guide with the
with the Q&A.
Who does? No, not the Q&A. Q&A sucks. Useless piece of crap. No, I was thinking of the in-game ship manufacturer reviewer, like Jane's fighting ships.
Whitley's Guide. Yeah,
Whitley's Guide. And I just couldn't remember it, and I was thinking, Jax works with them, and I'm just totally blank.
All right. Well, I've got something else.
Even that's an in-game approach. So
I've got something else I want to show you and badges that me and Piggles found last night too. So remember how it says on the sales page that there's 2 intakes? We actually found, and we were thinking that they were up here initially because of these 2 nozzles. I actually think they're both back here now, because if you look here at the top, we know this is where the bags take them in, right? So I think one's for liquid bags, and I think one's for liquid and gas, and I think one's for solids. Because if I can rotate it right, look, there's one here on the bottom. And there's one here on the top. So I think that's more confirmation that this does liquid and gas. Because and what would happen is obviously that arm just goes out and rotates depending on which one it wants to do. So I think that can't be unseen once you see that. The fact that there's 2 nozzles on the same arm. So I think that is the best evidence I've seen for liquid and gas as a thing. I don't know. Your thoughts? You're very silent. Badges? Does that help confirm liquid and gas for you at all, or not?
No. I think we fell down this rabbit hole with the raft, with all the moving parts that we thought that there were. You know, I think, you know, we've got the same sort of issue here. Is my gut feeling is that that it will do liquids, it will do gases. I don't see why it doesn't, right? Because you know, like we've said, I'm not entirely sold that there aren't other refining processes going on. In fact, we kind of know that there are now. The video all about Alpha 3.17 with Todd Pappy, he talks about, you know, I think it's the 9-minute mark. He goes and talks about different grades of fuel. That is something coming way, way, way down the line. But he's talking about, you know, you got the high end stuff, you've got racing fuel, you've got stuff that, you know, might even go as far as, you know, when you boost, you don't get the efficiency out of your boost because your fuel's basically
that actually leans a little bit to the type of refining gameplay too, doesn't it? Like if you're removing the what do you call that, the impurities. So the better you are at removing in the impurities, the better quality fuel you're going to get and stuff like that. So it shows a little bit of the gameplay, what that mini game could be. And I think just in lining up with what you said, it's the same thing with what Dan Truffin said. Dan Truffin has literally said you can take in a solid, liquid, or gas, and you can have the others come out the other side. So I can't unsee that.
I've got to interrupt you here just to let Sebastian know. Yes, it was Jackson McCleary, and it's not next week. I'm finally out of the atmosphere. Okay, continue.
Yeah. So long story short, just piggybacking on what you said there, Badgers. I think you can't argue with what Dan Truffin said. He's literally confirmed that's a part of refining. So
I absolutely. You know, and again, not arguing that it's point of the gameplay loop. Like I said, my gut is that it will. Whether that means that, you know, it is, but I don't think, you know, we can go much further down the whole looking at the wire frame model and taking too much from it, because I think we've seen in the past that
it's just fun. That's all it is. It's just fun.
Oh yes, absolutely.
But taking the raft example you had as well, I still think that's because of the cargo factor. I think everything you saw when you started, because you're the one that spotted the expanding stuff.
Yeah,
I still think that's all going to be a thing. I just think it's kind of turned off because it's currently not a crane; it's just a cargo ship. And I still think it is going to be a cargo ship. Like Grim talked about it as well. Like, the cargo containers that it's actually carrying are exactly the same size when they go on the whole sea. It's just too. When things line up like that, it's not a coincidence. It's you know, they've designed it that way.
And again, it would be lovely to be proved right. It really would. But you know, I think again, coming back to it, it's like, well, you know,
sometimes you just got to wait.
I don't see the point of the marketing sense of hiding that from people. If it's something they're planning to add.
I do, because it sells more ships. Like the Odyssey, we've talked about that to the cows come home. If people realize some of the stuff that ship would do, they would go, oh, I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to go buy that other, because it confirms another ship that's coming down the line. And you guys know as well as I do, generally speaking, the more time goes by, the better ships are being sold at the end because they make even more money on them. You know, so that's why we don't have that last miner. Because that miner is probably going to be one of the most popular miners in the entire game. Why don't we have the medium and large kind of medical ships? Why don't we have the medium and large science ships? Why don't we have the medium large salvage ships? We've got the Capital and the Vulture, but we don't have the two in between. And that's because they go up and down in scale, and they're probably going to be more versatile.
Sure, but I don't think that applies in the sense of like the raft expanding, because we know there are bigger cargo vessels. All the expanding is going to be able to do is enable it to add a few more of those cargo.
So let me answer that. Let me answer that specifically. That is because they were selling it as a cargo ship, and they've said they don't want to put things in game anymore that you can't use, aka the reclaimer. Right? So at the moment, you can use it as a cargo ship, and it'll be like, oh, surprise! You can also use it as a cargo crane on the whole series, which will come with the cargo refactor. The whole series is coming in. It just lines up perfectly. Cargo refactor, and you know that originally the cargo refactor was due for the end of last year, and that's why that ship was lined up to be sold at that time. And they've even said they had to change it. Like it came up in one of the things. They had to dial back what it did.
They did say that they were planning it for the cargo refactor, and when the cargo refactor wasn't coming, they said it can still function as a, you know, do we put it in, do we not? And they said it can still function as a cargo ship, so they put it in.
Yeah. And the reason why that's 2-person, not 1-person, is because it is a 2-person job. 1 person is moving the ship, and 1 person is moving the cargo containers. I'm not thinking of you, Badges. I'm thinking of SA, because SA was saying his whole argument for the Expanse being a solo ship was the raft. He goes, "Why is that a starter ship? Then it's got 2 people, and it's because it really, literally requires 2 people." You know. So yeah.
The other thing with the to go back to the refining of fuel and the different grades of fuel. What Todd Pappy said in that video wasn't new either. It was like that was stuff that Chris had talked about in the old 10th of the Chairman video. So it was something that CIGF had planned way back, like way back in the beginning. I know there are orgs that were created based on that idea of refining fuel and you know.
And again, you know,
fuel.
I'm not for a second doubting any of it. I just think, you know, if we knew, I would argue that if we knew that the RAF was going to open out and have more cargo capacity, then all they've done is hurt the sales of it initially by not stating that will happen.
Well, I think
so it would be an interesting choice.
So you tell me, because of the way the community reacts, if you said at a future date it'd also be a sky crane, I think that would have helped sales. It's just not there now. I think that would have helped, but I think they're cautious more than they used to be. So I think they're just going to like, oh, we just won't even mention it, and they're going to go like, but then we could probably put it up by $10 and go, oh, by the way, now it's a size crane. So that could be where they're going as well.
Because I mean, with the raft, we had that room at the back where we all couldn't figure out quite why it was even on the ship.
Don't lie to me, because we all know it's a sky crane. But okay, yeah, sure.
Well, no. What I mean is that room where there's something else in it. They've got
you mean at the top? You said
device.
Hang on. You said at the back. You mean at the top front? That's the room you've got. That's why you confused me. Yeah, top front is what you're talking about. Yes. Now I'm with you. Go ahead.
I thought the top front was the cockpit, but
that's the bottom front.
Bottom front.
Yeah,
I've got it flipped around in my head.
It's all good. It's all good.
So you've got that room, which now I think about it. Hang on, I'm just going to go. This will be interesting.
So now you go look it up because you've forgotten. Yeah.
So I'll go, Raf. No, I want to look at that thing specifically that's in that room.
Yeah.
Because you know how it's vaguely wasn't it round, this thing?
I'm trying to remember.
Vaguely round shaped or unshaped.
I'm trying to remember.
Because I've actually got a raft, but I haven't applied the CCU yet.
Yeah.
I'm just sat on the CCU. Right. So I've got. I'll send. Oh no!
If I get emails for you guys, you're in trouble. I don't want any of your emails. Go away. Someone's probably saying that. Models.
I'm just gonna zip through the.
Here we go. Argo raft. So I've actually got the 3D model up, so we can do it here, so the stream can follow along as well, right?
It's the inside of it.
Okay.
In that room. If we can go into that room.
So this is just so people are not confused. This is the internals of the raft. They are 2 separate models, the internals and the externals. So you're not going to see the outside. We're just looking at the rooms, and I know the exact. Why is this taking so long? Wow, there is something wrong with my internet today. That is for sure. Oh wait, my housemate is homesick. That's what it ought to be. He's watching stupid FIFA videos, but that's
downloading.
Fine. So here's the cockpit at the bottom front. The room you're talking about here is a component room.
Yep.
But there's other stuff in it that just make it. You're talking about this.
If you look at that thing.
Yeah.
Now compare that. How similar are they to the refining reactors on the mole, on the Expanse? Are they similar?
I also think of liquid and gas. I think of like it could refuel ships because we also.
Well, I mean, are there visual similarities between that and the Expanses? Because you can see them sat in the top.
I want to open the other model, but it's going to make me close this, so I'm going to have to close it and open it again. Open a new tab. Open a new tab. So I'll just load them separately. But on the external of that room, there is literally a thing that looks like a refueling arm. Which makes a lot of sense for a ship that's a sky crane. It works at a port. It can help refuel things. So, and what we're talking about here is like, remember how it's got this big thing where it bunches up against ships? Like that could also be for, like you talked about flipping over and carrying cargo containers, but there's some kind of door here. It's always looked like a door. And so I always wondered, what if there's some kind of boom arm or refueling arm? We don't know. It could just be looks cool. Again, they've said this looks cool as well, but I don't know. That's a lot of detail for something that looks cool. And they've even gone to the level of like modeling in bumper suppression and all that stuff. So yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. But yeah, we're going over old stuff again here, but
I have no idea, to be honest, whether they're going to do that with the raft or not.
Well, the only thing,
the raft up and we could walk through it, but there are rooms you can't actually get into if I remember right.
Well, the only thing is though, this is why we think this is a thing, right? Or it's something. Is there's a console here, and that actually is accessible in game. So this is at some point going to be something. What it does?
Because if
down the road,
if you look at those images on the Expanse, they do seem to be fairly similar in design to.
Do you know what it could literally be for? Is just so you know how you do the cargo containers? It might just have to do liquid and gas cargo. So this is how it manages it. That's simple, and that would mean that's probably why it's got a hose or something that comes out of that door at the top. It's literally because it's like if it's doing raw liquid and gas, it can take it on board itself and then transport it to the station.
That makes sense.
Or maybe it uses also refuel ships. We just don't know. But I think that leans towards liquid cargo personally. But you know, all right, we've lingered on this too long. What's that line from Lord of the Rings? We've lingered. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to cover on the Expanse, or?
Nope.
I think we kind of covered it. Yeah. So yeah. There's a lot of questions there now. So we'll go back to that question though.
A lot of questions, yeah.
So this is the one from last week that we didn't answer, by Jason Sareth. He asks, on a Kraken, would you rather have 2 Expanses or 1 medium refinery ship? I'll let you go first, Algared, because I know my answer.
I think I'd rather have a medium refinery ship.
I would just take the large one because the Kraken's large and you want it to warp at the same speed as the Kraken.
Yeah, but I think they're talking about sitting on the
based on it, yeah.
So it also depends. Would you rather have it take up 2 landing pads or 1 medium landing pad?
It also depends on what other mining ships you have, because like if all your friends have prospectors, the Expanse makes sense. But if they've all got moles, then whatever that ship's going to be makes more sense. So run as a party.
I still don't expect. Yeah. I still don't expect the Expanse not to be able to do refining on the mole. It just probably won't be as good. But I still expect it to be able to do it.
No, we talked about that. You can definitely take it in because of the nozzle. Yeah, we talked about that.
You know, but it wouldn't make sense otherwise. No company in their mind would lock you into only being able to use that one product. If they can, they open it up so you can use the other product, but our product's better.
And the other questions come in is like, because it's a bigger ship, does it have here's the things: does it do it faster? Does it do it better quality?
Yep.
Does it? You know what I mean?
Does it have? Yeah. Does it?
Is it just has more? Can do it faster? Does it have more consoles? More people? Like too many unknowns. So if you like the Expanse, get the Expanse and CC up to the other one at a later date. You know, or just get it as a loaner.
And we know from what Dan Truffin was saying early on that he seemed to imply that refining on a ship would be quicker and result in you having more valuable cargo to take back, which would be better than just taking a mining ship full of ore back.
So when we talked that through with John, Algared, one of the things we the way we looked at it is, you know how you currently go to a refinery station and you've got those different processes you can pick. Yep. Imagine it's more like a bespoke process just for that ship, and so there it does it faster, but you don't get the same yield. So it lowers the yield because you're getting it faster.
Yep. And so, you know, John Dan Truffin talked about that as being the ships being quicker, but not giving the same value that you get from a station. And I think that is really the only way to consider that as being the way in which the ship works.
I think the last thing. Oh, sorry, go Badgers.
Sorry, because and I know we're just repeating what we said in the Expanse video yesterday, but is that remember that the Expanse is not competing against stations. If it's economically viable for you to take all the wait time to take what you're mining back to a station and get it processed at a station. What this is competing against is the other refiners, because you're in a point where to go out, travel all that way out, move around, fill a miner up, and then fly all the way back is just not economically viable. You'll spend 10 times more time traveling to and from than you will mining. That's where this fits. It's of course, you look at just walk around the refinery bay in one of the Grange points. Of course, the Expanse or any of the other refiners are not going to compete with that. You've got the economies of scale.
Not even the Orion will compete with that, I don't think.
Exactly, but again, you wouldn't have. It would be massively inefficient to have the Orion in the belt just off a Lagrange point, because it's not going to have the regularity of and the rare minerals that it's likely to be after, in and amongst all the other stuff to build up that pay dirt. So
the other thing to remember is also going back to the idea of the different types of fuel refinery. If you can do a refinery of or on your Starfarer or your Expanse and reduce the quantity so you can carry more of the higher grade stuff back, there's nothing to say when you get back to a station you couldn't refine it even further and do a higher yield. So
that could be a thing. That
possibility.
Really could.
Total speculation, but
it
possibility.
You kind of because Artful just mentioned in chat there on the video, did we mention the perfect thing of the prospect of the Expanse and the Hull A? Because essentially it just means you're not bringing back inert materials that are just a waste of cargo. So if you're sitting there and just refining it through, you got to remember, once you refine it, so it might be 100% of a saddlebag, but once it's refined, let's just say for argument's sake, it's 50%, right? That means when that goes onto that Hull A, it's bringing back twice as much, but I think it would even be more than that. I think it would go to 10%. So you could be anywhere from 50 to 10 times as much, which is quite a lot that only the Hull A has to bring back. But then the other part of that is the security, because it's also more valuable, more likely to be attacked. So choices. Yeah.
Yep. High risk, high reward.
Yep.
The longer you're out there, the more you're carrying, the higher, the greater risk it is, because you're increasing your chance of being seen. If you're doing it more often, you're creating a nice little trade route, which is going to draw attention as well.
So there's a nice little question. There's a nice little question here. I'm skipping ahead again by Ragnar Baron. He asks, did they mention how you transfer mined goods to a refinery ship? And I think you can clearly see it here for yourself and answer your own question in that image. We'll go, you guys
that
know,
three-way image?
Yeah, this one here. So the prospector's dropping them off. We know that these can be ejected, and this tractor beam's just simply picking them up. It connects to this nozzle. It shrinks it so it sucks everything in, and that also compresses the bag back to being compressed. This is where we get into speculation, and then it puts the empty bags into that back door and stores them. But it's the tractor beam. This ship, because of its tractor beam, pulls them over. The prospector has no form of tractor beam, and so it drops them, and they're just pulled over. So does that answer your question there, Ragnar?
And then
I hope it does.
Suck dry.
Yeah.
And there was a question earlier on, is the tractor beam on the Expanse at the back? Yes.
Yeah. That image confirms it.
I'm not sure if a question or just mentioned in the chat.
The last thing, I've just noticed there's another question there by Death Factor. Possible acronym for the Argo refinery. I did actually think of this. I don't think it might be heat, the Argo heat. Because I don't know, because they've all been 4 letters, yeah? And I was just like, what would I do? And I'm like, oh yeah, Argo Heat. That was where I went.
So does that mean the episode we do on that would be the heat is on?
Yeah, well, there you go. That's a good one. I like that. It's good. So yeah, I don't know. That's
going back to the 80s music, I think it is.
Yeah, that's a total guess, but we'll see what happens in regards to that when they do bring it out. But yeah, generally they've been 4 letters, so we've had raft and mole. So, but
all right, so let's
had a few people say that it should be an animal like the mole, but we'll see. That question we missed there. Yep, that one. Go ahead.
I'm going to start from our questions, and I'm going. Manfred has a question for us, and his question is: has there been any clarification on mining gameplay? Will you have to monitor and adjust your refining to reduce time to refine or quality of material refined from ore? The only information I can recall on refining gameplay was by Dan Truffin way back. The latest was by Todd Pappy when he was saying, yes, there are going to be different forms of fuel you can do in terms of refining the different grades.
Mm-hmm.
It has always been implied that it would be hands-on, and so you would be adjusting it, so give you the mini game, because they want it to be engaging for players, not just take your pick out, hammer, 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 go to an anvil, hammer, hammer, hammer. You know, they want it to be more than that. So I don't think there's been clarification in terms of the fine detail, but they've certainly given enough to say, yes, it is going to be stuff where you're going to have to monitor it. Any other thoughts?
Just real quick, that's something that someone was saying. Remember Tecton was talking about it. Just the look of this ship is actually really good too. Like, they're really starting to up that MISC aesthetic, and it was a bit boring, he was saying, but now, like, the front of this is so different to anything else we've seen. Like, yeah, the cab, but like, what's this gas mask thing that's carrying here? I still think this might be a thing as well, but as Badger's as Badger's kind of alluded to, there's too many unknowns or possibilities on this ship that they just haven't answered, much like the raft. So a lot of it, what we're going to do is just put it in the wait and see basket. Badgers, is that kind of where you're at with a lot? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it, you know, what they have done, because when I first saw it, I thought, Jesus, this is a chunky ship. And that was kind of my, that was as far as I got with the whole thing. Is like, this thing is just fat. That's what it is. But actually, now having seen a few more images of it and the wireframe render, I'm pleasantly surprised. I think, like you say, that they're getting the design language of MISC down really, really well at the minute.
I think it's part of just the lateness of development in terms of the time they've been, they've got people who've been working on ships for a long while now, and now they've got they're streamlining their processes, and that means they're able to focus more on other things. But yeah, they've got the ships looking really good as they're coming out now. So
excuse me, I do like looking at the ships though and seeing other ships in ships. Like, one of the things I said on the stream last week was, when you look at the Hull C, you can actually see the wings of the Razor on the Hull C, but you can still see that little Archie Bicker across the back that started with the Starfarer and stuff like that. So, and it's on this ship too. Hang on, if I go,
and they even said they were trying to make this ship have that Starfarer-esque aesthetic.
It's more Starfire than anything else. It's also the only other ship that has the shoulder pad type aesthetic of the Starfarer. I'm still not sure what these arms are, because is there another ship in the series that has arms like this? Like, I just don't, I can't think of one. It seems unique to me. So that's an Expanse thing, is these arms. And this gas mask thing, we haven't seen anything like this before. But think about all the science ships that are probably still yet to come. So this could be we've just never seen before. So
yeah, it could just be a agreeable, just a rule of cool. It looks good. Your guess is as good as mine. I just think it wants to be Darth Vader. That's my easy answer for that one. Why is it there? It wants to be Darth Vader. Now, since we're not in the same server,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't seem to be getting into gameplay, I'm going to land and stop trying to play the game at the same time as I'm on this, because I'm giving you guys like 25% of my attention.
Yeah.
You would join me if you could, but
I can't. I'll try. I'm loading.
Yeah.
Don't quit out just yet. I'm loading in, trying to load in again. We'll give it one test and see if it works.
We've been having our issues in terms of we've got a bug in the PTU where even though we're friends, we're deleted accounts apparently, so it won't recognize us.
And I've got it set up for the other one. Hold on. I need to copy over the other camera.
Yeah, Algared and Execute banned for hacking. You heard it here first.
That's right. All right, so moving on to the questions. Let's see if I can find the next one. Ragnar Baron has a question. Did they mention how you transfer mine goods to a refinery ship? That was just answered. That was we see that with, at least they show you how they think they'll do it. In the artwork for the.
You can tell Algared's in game, right? Because his brain's like. Yeah. Next question,
I'm trying to get out of my ship.
That's right. Next question.
Okay, next question. Strapperbrick.
Yep. So, do you think
the Expanse or any other refinery will have similar interfaces to buy, sell ore from miners to refuelers like the Star-R5HP now has for refueling? I can't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah, I think the nozzles on the front of that Expanse are probably for it to transfer fuel to the Star-R5HP or a station. Because where else does it sell it? You know, so.
Yeah. But buying the raw ore from, I imagine, the way they'll do the gameplay is either raw ore from a player. So I think that's right, and I think they'll do. I think they'll do very similar to what you've got with the Star-R5HP. The miner will actually have a console to say how much they're selling.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. So yeah, I agree with you.
You know, or you'll have a console to say how much you're willing to pay. So it'll be either way.
Algared, I got under your server. I just sent you an invite. Yay! Alright, are you still at... Did you come to Houston, or where are you at?
I am at Orison Station, and my platform has no lift console and an empty lift.
Alright, well I'll fly there. I managed to outfuel my Star-R5HP with better drives and stuff, so I'll fly there in a Star-R5HP.
And I just accepted your invite.
Yep, we can see that.
Yay. Yeah, well, I actually need fuel. I was down a significant amount of hydrogen fuel after leaving Orison. I think it took me down to about.
Well, I managed to actually get a couple of ships refueled after the stream last week, and it's surprisingly a lot more complicated than I expected, because you've got to manage your flow rate. You can accidentally mix different things together and totally screw yourself. Yeah, it's got a... Whoa, okay. Alright, happy to see you too, buddy. Whoa, there's some gyration if I ever saw it.
Okay.
Jeez. Yeah, keep it in your pants, buddy. Jeez, what the fuck?
Okay, so the next question was from Manfred, and Manfred's question was, I wonder if you can change reactors based on what you want to do.
Yes.
Be it fuel or different types, and that is our view that yes, you will.
We were even talking about that you could have, so say you had two that do Quantanium, you could have different processes on different reactors, so for different quality or different outcomes, different speeds, stuff like that. So we've talked about that. Like, you know how you got components even for the nozzles now? Why wouldn't you have that components across everything? So there might be different, different reactors from different manufacturers that do it in a different way. So yeah, much like there is for now we've seen in the nozzles, you can take that from the nozzles and go, wow, where can that go? Kind of cool.
After that question is Sabathus. Or Sabathius. His question is, what are the gun-like protrusions on the front that aren't guns, antennas? And I think those things on the wings are the size 1 guns, I'm guessing.
No, the size 1 guns are on the front, and I can actually show you that real quick. Just give me a second. So, are we still... Yeah, I gotta check what we're actually streaming. Nope, we're streaming games, so I gotta go back to... Give me 2 seconds. So, you can very clearly see on this model when you zoom in that they're bearing guns right there. That's a bearing gun.
Bear guns there. So the things on the wings.
Unknown Greeble shit at the moment. We just don't know.
Unknown Greebles, sensors.
There's something there though. Like when I was talking to Pickles, he's saying, "What if they're tractor beams?" And I don't know. And he also said, "What if they're just lights?" Yeah, I'd love them to be something, but because they're really unique.
I'd love them to be something cool.
But yeah.
Put it in
that bag that Badges is talking about. Wait and see. Leave it at that.
Scarily, just looking at them, they do look a bit like those parking sensors on the cat, and I really hope they're not just parking sensors.
They do indeed, actually. Right. Oh, the boom arm fell off. I just realised.
Your boom arm fell off. Well, how are you going to refuel me if your boom arm fell off?
I'm gonna try repairing it and see if it works.
Oh, it's literally fell off. It's on the floor. Did you extend it while you were in hangar and bump it?
No, it was just gyrating all over the floor. You saw it when I walked in. I didn't do nothing. It was just happy to see me. I think got too excited and it fell off. That happens to me all the time when the girls are around. They just get all excited. I don't know why. Just how the way it happens.
And their bits fall off.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a concern.
It is.
Okay, so
just to confirm, you're at Crusader, yeah?
I am at Crusader. I am above Everest Station, waiting for refuel.
Wait, you're at Everest? Do you mean Port Alicer?
Please visit again.
No.
So wait, you're above Port Alicer at Everest Station, so now I'm confused.
You told me. You told I was at Alicer. You said, "Hey, I'm at Hurston. Make your way over there." So I did.
Okay, so whereabouts at Everest are you?
Loading above the station.
Okay, so on Everest Station, there are 2 Big Benny signs. I want you to go to the Big Benny sign that is closest to the planet. On top of the station.
Me.
Yeah. This is how me and Pickles do it. So
that looks like that one, I think.
Yeah.
How do my brother and I annoy each other? We start singing those songs that get stuck in your head. The girl from Eponina is one of them.
Not my forte, but okay. Yeah, beacons for sure. I totally agree with that one, Artful. Yeah, that'd be a good thing. But there are landmarks like you can do like this, and this is just one we found, is the Big Benny's. It's on this particular station on both sides of it, and you just say the one closest to planet. Works really well. Pickles came straight to me the other day because he knew where it was. So now, I can't see your marker, Algared. Can you see a marker for me or not?
Nope.
Yeah, so
if I could see a marker for you, I wouldn't have been saying, where are you? And you wouldn't have been saying, where am I? If you could see my marker, so yes.
Alright, well, I'll deploy the boom
But
arm.
I'm at the Big Benny's.
Then you are not at Everest then, sir, because I'm here and you ain't here.
I am at Everest.
Oh wait, I'm not at Everest. I'm at Mikel 1. I'm the idiot. Right, I'm on my way. Hold on. I'm coming.
And he was saying I was wrong.
Yep, it was me.
Always you.
Not always me, thank you very much. It just happened to be me this time. It's alright, we'll get there.
Alright, anyway, moving right along.
Yep.
Since we've got time to kill while you're getting here. Jock Cop says, question, Expanse and Prospector operating off a Liberator viable? If it's got the landing space for them both, yes.
Yeah, it does. It would, and it would be viable. Yeah, I could see that happening because you only need 2 people on the Liberator. You could literally have 1 on the Prospector, 1 on the Expanse. take off, do what you need to do, come back, land, and take it from place to place, basically giving long range to those two small ships. So yeah, if you just work between group 2, yeah, I can see that 100%.
I don't see the value of the.
Didn't think of it until we mentioned it, but yeah.
I don't see value in it and say my game is frozen and look like it's crashed.
Yeah, that's exactly what I hear. So I'm moving towards it.
No, just major lag fest. It's finally came back. That was the longest lag I've ever seen.
Yeah, this view is a view that you can't see any other ship too. Very pretty. Get really close up to the engine as well. So yeah, definitely a unique view.
Yeah, I can see you looking at that ship. What was the question I was answering? Yeah, the viable option. Yeah. What I don't see as a viable option is the Expanse working with an Odyssey, because the Odyssey's mining facilities go straight into its engine. So
that said, though, the Expanse and the Prospector will both be able to land in the back of it. So yeah. What about your thoughts there, Badges, with the Liberator?
Yeah, I think the only problem there is shitting them. If you look at how tight it is on the Hornet.
So it depends on what pads they actually fit on. But if they can fit, yeah, why not? But yes. Okay. Are we moving on?
Sure thing.
Okay. We're moving on. Eduardo, he says, you guys think this ship comes out in CitizenCon this year or earlier?
I'm expecting like a mole release at the end of the year after CitizenCon. Kind of like what they did with the Talon as well.
So I expect this one will come out earlier. I think if they can.
I think the ship is done, because if you look at the image, they show it in the hangar with different skins on it. I think it's done. I just think the gameplay's not there, so it needs the cargo refactor, it needs the refining gameplay of the actual console and the mini game. That's not done yet. So it could be done by the end of the year, but again, it's not on they're not showing the roadmap anymore, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, if it's done, I think they're just waiting for those things so you can actually play the game and do those things, because if it doesn't have any regular cargo at all, what's the point? And if it can't do the basic refining stuff, again, what's the point? So, and I think it's just a wait and see at that point.
Yep.
Eduardo has another question.
We better start charging him for each question.
Yeah. So he says, how will refinery times work? I imagine it works something similar to what we've got at the stations. So if you look at the stations when you go to refine, you can do a really quick with low yield, or you can do takes a lot of time and does high yield. I don't think our ships will ever have the takes a lot of time high yield. I think we'll always be more or less the low or medium yield. That's my guess, and that's all I think we can do at the moment is guess.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Kind of
Badges or Execute on that?
Pretty much reiterated what I said earlier. So Badges, you go for it. If you want to say anything.
Yeah, no, I don't think I differ from that, to be honest.
Yep. Brian Mackey, if you upgrade a ship out of a pack, does the LTI go with it?
Yes.
Every ship in the pack, yes. No question on that. It's one of the reasons I used to go packs. In fact, I've got ships in my packs. I've got Endeavours and Crucibles and Orions and Carracks. No, not Carracks were in the pack. But basically, I've got all my big ships that I wanted in my packs that have been CCU'd up. And they save me money. They were convenient. But they're a hell of a job if you make a mistake. If you've got one last ship and you stuff it, and you've got to redo the whole lot again, you lose all those steps that's done. And that's the hassle with packs.
I'd kind of say, Algared, just like other CCUs, you're almost best to leave them in chains at the moment. because you can apply discounts and all that stuff, and then wait until day of release. Got to play that long game.
The problem with packs, even if you wait and you leave your packs and you've got them sitting there, and you start applying them, and you're up to that last ship, and you stuff up the applying of a pack of the CCU, and you've got to redo them. You've got to melt the pack, start all over again, and that means you've lost all those CCU. And that's the real problem.
And concierge don't want to help you, which is a real pain in the butt too. So,
They can help you, but it's also...
They tend to choose not to when it comes to packs, though. That's the biggest problem.
I think it tends to be a case-by-case situation.
And who you
slow
get.
week or it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, slow week or who you get.
Right, I can see Algared 8K's out.
My experience is they always do want to help, but just like any job, there are times when you're flapjack, there are times when you're just having a crap day, there are times, all of the above. So sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Moving right on. Agent.
Like sun's just coming up too. Timing.
Agent 1213 has a question. If Pyro is mostly uninhabitable, why do we see so many outposts in the dev stream?
Because we've got to have somewhere to go. Gameplay before anything.
It's not that it's uninhabitable. It's that it's lawless.
Yeah.
So it makes residency for businesses and for any sort of reasonable infrastructure really hard because they all become targets.
I think it has changed a lot. Let's be honest, because like they talked about that thing being like rocky planets, and now they're all covered in yellow moss and all that. They basically just had artistic reasons, and they're changing the law as they go.
And you've got to remember that when they start off, they do the law in 6-inch paintbrushes, 12 feet, roller painting rather than fine detail. And as they go on, they fill in a lot of that detail, and they still leave a lot open, so that there are things we will fill in as we play the game. In terms of Pyro is never uninhabitable. In fact, the problem with Pyro is the fact that we've stripped it bare, and there's not really much left for the big corporations in there, and so all the infrastructure was there has either been abandoned because it was cheaper just to abandon it, and has been taken over by squatters and others. So in that regard, it's not that it's uninhabitable, it's just, as Badgers was saying, it's just not safe. It's no reason for the UE to claim it because it's not valuable anymore.
Algared,
can you target me, please?
Yeah, and as for what's in the streams, bringing refueling online, and making sure that loop is fully set up, it's fully instantiated, it's working reliably more often than not. That is not obviously guaranteed before we get Pyro. In effect, you have Ruin Station in Pyro, and that's it. Until refueling is reliable, they are releasing more than one station, and they will be removed just like Levski was removed from Stanton, because it was never supposed to be there the whole time. It's not part of the Stanton system. These stations these rest stops will be removed. But until then, it is incredibly painful, because I think Pyro is twice the size of Stanton.
I think it's 3 times.
4? Yeah.
It's like 9 or something, and this is like 4. I don't know, I'd have to look it up again. I don't remember the exact number, but it's considerably larger. Just real quick, hold that thought. Algared, can you target me, please?
Yep.
And then you got to press N. Yeah, press N like you're trying to land, and it should request docking.
Okay, I've pressed N.
The other thing is, bear in mind that CIG have to do something at this point, right? If they don't add temporary rest stops, and refueling gameplay isn't where they want it, it's not reliable enough, they will be accused of creating a paywall where only those with bigger ships can get all the way to Ruin Station.
Yep.
you know, and if they do it this way, then they're accused of screwing with the law, and you know, well, there was only ever supposed to be one station. Why are we getting all these others? You know, they're kind of damned if they do and damned if they don't with this. What they're doing now, obviously, is the better choice. It gives access to everyone for Pyro until we know that, you know.
Yep. Hold that thought.
The system's been implemented reliably.
Hold that thought. Algared, it's hold N, not press N. Because hold N, press N lowers the landing gear. You got to hold N to like your auto landing. Because I haven't got the request yet, so we can't proceed until you send me the request.
I've been holding it.
Have you got me targeted while you're holding N? Because it's obviously not coming up on... Yeah, then it's not working.
Speaking of refueling not working reliably...
It works totally fine. It's just that they have to request docking and he's...
And it's not letting me request docking.
So, I don't know. Oh, wait. Are we in a party? We are in a party or not?
We are in a party.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing wrong. Everyone else that did this with me like that. So, maybe it is just a bug. Oh, maybe we can't do it. Maybe we can't do it with the whole sea. I do know you can only do it with certain ships. So, do you want to?
I do have your boom. Your boom is kind of circular.
The boom is deployed.
Yep, and I've got this little marker that seems to be floating over your boom, but yeah.
Yeah.
No,
it's just so because you're in party, maybe you can automatically dock. So just try holding N when you're close enough to the ship, and it might just auto dock. Just come a little closer. And now I can physically see you in the ship. Or I can see your chair.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the wings there I was talking about too, like the Razor. Yeah. You seem really far away, Algared. Like, really far away. Yeah, so you need to be much closer. Yeah, you want to get much closer. And then now try docking. Nope. Keep coming. Just don't crash into the boom arm. We'll go right up to it if you can, and then try. I'm expecting a spectacular failure, but we'll see. Yeah, so your landing gear is down, by the way. Your landing gear is down, so put your landing gear up. Just tap N.
Waiting for docking permission. It's now asking for docking permission.
Oh, there we go. There you go. Permission granted. And now you should just be able to hold N, and it'll auto do it. There we go. Nice. I don't know where your port is though, but obviously we're about to find out. Looks like it's on the top somewhere. So we get around
on the top.
Side. Yeah. There we go. I haven't done it with a hull air yet, so yeah. All right, so now we go. Yep, cool. So we now got to head back to the front. This is the only thing. I wish there was a console out the back here, so you could do it out here, but there isn't. And the other thing I hate is you can't, when you go into the third-person camera, it just shows your character. I'd love to see the boom arm actually deploying. That'd be nice, but
yeah. I imagine that there is supposed to, you are supposed to be able to control the flow from the actual container boxes.
So
it'd be nice to have that control in
so
that
we can
room
see here,
at the back as well, rather than having to come here.
So we can see here that there's a ship docked. We can see the payment, and if I turn this on, open the nozzle. I'll start with hydrogen fuel. So here we go, have some hydrogen fuel. And I've got to turn up the flow of the nozzle, obviously, I forgot to do that. Now, normally, when I was doing it last time, it actually had one here for, yeah, there you go, hydrogen, 0 CU. So you don't actually need any hydrogen. Your ship is full, Algared, according to this.
I don't have, I'm 50% full on hydrogen.
Yeah, so this is not working then. Because the last time I did it, it showed how much they had, and you could literally just, like, dial this up, and... Yeah, this would actually fill up, and you could see how much they needed. But it's not doing that.
What you need me to do is say, now you should see it.
Hang on. What am I saying? What am I...
Because I'm just saying how much I want. I have to go into my terminal and say, I want to have this much.
Do I have to accept that or not? Because if I'm in this console, I can't see you accepting stuff. So let me have a look and see if I've got anything pending. No. Yeah, so do you want to do that again? While I'm out of the console?
You are actually refueling me.
Yep, automatically.
My
so yeah, it is.
No,
Now we can see it. You're right. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about before. So there you go. So this will come up and say finished in a second. And obviously now
it is done.
Yeah, now I just want to stop it. Do you want any quantum? Oh, you do. It did ask. It says
I
here,
did. I wanted 0.55 quantum transfer successful.
Yep. So I just close the nozzle now, and it's done. And that's how you do it. You didn't need much quantanium, but now
I only need.
Now I'll go out the back and watch him. Hang on, Algared, I'm coming. I'm just gonna watch you undock. And then I'll probably park this Algared and we can go for a drive in the hole.
Yep.
Alright, go for it. Algared,
so same way to undock?
I think you just fly away. I don't know. You tell me. Well, guess we'll find out.
I'll try a request. It's hard, but nope, nothing to do there. So the only way I can see myself being able to do it is
just fly backwards.
I wonder if I cancel and nope. Okay, so I'll cancel.
There we go.
And you just cancel, and it just disengages you.
Yep. There you go.
So you go into your little cog. Do the cancel, and it just automatically just does it. So that's probably the easiest way to get out without damaging the ship. Ripping your arm off as I run away in panic.
But like I can do silly stuff like this. So just hang on a second. I might have to get into the front seat to show this, but you can actually, believe it or not, go into this console even when people are not here. And I can podge management. I can open the nozzle. I can then open the nozzle and start the flow. And so now when I go, come on, get in the chair. It's now spitting fuel all over our grid.
Yeah, that'd be right.
Yeah, so you can do that.
So moving on to our next question, which is by Eduardo. He says, "How would a hull series be loaded up from Expanse? Will containers just appear out of nowhere? Magic? I imagine it'll drop off its canisters, both 8 canisters on the sides, the cargo, and they will be
maybe even hand tractor beamed, or using the tractor beam on the back of the Expanse to send them over to the thing. But I generally believe that a whole A operator is going to need a tractor beam. At least when he lands on the station, he's still going to have to unload him with the hand thing. So yeah. What is this ship doing?
Well, unless the stations
yeah.
Unless the stations
have their little AI
to help unload.
Have their little AI come out.
But then you also got things like the Argo cargo, or just a base Argo without any module being able to help offload, or I imagine there's a whole pile of different things there that we'll see. So it's just one of those things we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it's not just magic. And they've talked about, it carrying the standard UEE cargo containers, or storing it in standard UEE cargo containers, and we'll just have to wait and see what that actually is. So,
Algared, you want to land, and I'll come to your hangar.
Think. That one.
Badges, you able to read any of the questions?
Yes, mate. Stand by.
We're up to Nathan Gladister's question, by the way.
Nathan Gladister's question. Roger. Okay, let's have a look. Stream questions. Okay, so do you think refining will require other materials, such as catalysts, and might the budget at the bottom be where you need to load and store the material for the reactor?
I'll let you answer that because you actually talked about that yourself. So you answer it.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things I think for catalysts is I often wonder what are the science modules and stuff like that doing on the Endeavour, right? What are they going to be used for? What's their purpose, right? And one of the things I think is certainly possible is the idea that you could have, I don't know, catalysts that you research and create as a science team that then, you know, you can add and will improve the properties of refining or whatever for a certain amount of time, right? That's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility. There's nothing to say that that's what it's going to be, but yeah, I don't see why not.
Can I just say something really quick?
Sure.
You can't unsee this once I say it, but this ship is Voltron laying down. Yeah. Enough said. Go back to what you're saying.
No worries.
Random tangent, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're all good. Yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, it's certainly possible, because, you know, they've said that we're not going to get a full crafting system, so we're not going to be out there making our own components, we're not going to be out there making our own weapons. Those are at the moment very clearly linked to manufacturers and whatever else.
Do you remember I was sorry, I know I'm interrupting you, but do you remember when I was talking about those nozzles in the hangar? This is what I was talking about. Near the elevators? Look. Do you remember me talking about these yesterday with you? Was it essay I was talking about?
Yeah, I'm just not looking at your screen at the minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because these, just so you guys are aware, there's a very similar nozzle to this on top of the Expanse. Which I can show you why Bad just keeps talking.
No, I'm done.
There you go. Very similar. In my book. A little different, but similar. Yeah, so Algared, not loading an elevator for me, unfortunately.
Yep, I saw that. I'll answer Dan's question, because Dan's question is in chat, but he didn't preface it with a question. He says, I know I asked a while ago, and I don't, if you have, it might be in chat and I haven't seen it, but he says, if I get an Expanse, I play solo. So, but if I was to get the Expanse, I play solo, so would that make it basically useless?
You could technically take the cargo.
Yes.
You could technically take the cargo back to a station, pull out your Expanse, transfer the cargo onto the Expanse, and then refine it. Technically speaking.
Yep. I was thinking that would have been. I'd have necessarily said yes. It does make it that way, but from what I was talking about earlier in the stream, that the way I could see you doing it solo without doing anything else would be to go down to a mining planet, buy the raw materials, refine them, and then take them back. That would be one way to do it. So that would enable you to do the refinery gameplay, and then when you're playing with others, you go with someone with a prospector. You know, you meet up with John Citizen and go out with him because he loves mining, and go out with him and he, you know, buy his cargo off him and refine it. If you're working as a team, who knows how you do it. But yeah, I could see it having value, but it will take creative gameplay, I think, to make it fun for you.
I think the other thing to add to this, though, this game is clearly, as you go up the chain, trying to push you towards working with other people. So yeah, I think you'll, like, if you have the Expanse, prospector people are probably gonna, like, if you just turn up, they're gonna go, oh, cool, and probably want to work with you because it allows them to change what they're doing and they'll make more money. And yeah, so
I just had the horrible feeling of seeing it in chats at stations. Tank, looking for a tank, medic, healer.
Yeah,
you know?
it's back to that again, isn't it?
Ghastly ghastly thing where, looking for a group. Okay, group looking for a tank, group looking for a healer, group looking for a refiner, looking for a I can just see it. So there will be groups that, you'll go out somewhere and say, okay, we need a refiner, we need to have this, we need to have that, and you'll go out and do that, and your group of friends will do that. And if you're solo, you'll do pickup groups. Just like in MMO, you can often do, you can often take your cleric out and do missions and still survive and still be able to play the game. And I imagine this will be very similar. You'll be able to take your refinery ship out and there'll be things you can do. But I think it's got to be a jam. So I hope that answered your question, Dan. No, well, they're on their Easter break holiday at the moment. It being, certainly for us, it being Good Friday. For everyone else, it's probably Thursday.
Yeah, so we're a little ahead of people, Algared, so they won't be hitting Good Friday for a little while yet. At least we're in party now, so I can I should be able to rejoin you somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I'm going to send you a friend's request. Did you get it?
I did get it.
All right, cool. Now I can join you.
Okay, so our next question is from our buddy Sandgroper. Aussie, oi, oi, oi. What is your emotional support chip?
Emotional support chip.
My emotional support chip.
Probably the Caterpillar for me. At the moment, anyway. I still fly that a fair bit. I don't know. It's like it's a ship. It's a ship that I could definitely upgrade into something else. The MSR falls in that as well. I've got those two smaller ships, but they're both on the chopping block because I've just got all these other bigger ships, and I'm waiting for something else to come out that kind of grabs me.
My emotional support ship. I'm not sure. What do I use for emotional support?
Well, it's kind of a ship. Well, I don't know. It depends how you look at it. I look at it as a ship that I've got
Eeny,
that I
meeny,
should.
miny, mo for me.
I've got a ship that I have that I shouldn't have. Just what about you?
Definitely Carrick. Sorry, Carrick. The Connie. And when it becomes flyable, the Perseus, because 4 size 7s is all the emotional support you need.
Well, there you go. I would have to say that the Connie is my not necessarily my emotional support, but it is certainly a ship that is still dear to my heart, just because it was the first ship I actually ever conned myself into buying. I do absolutely love the Argo. I love the brand Argo. I love the fact that they're just industry, but not traditionally. They weren't into refining and mining. They were the middleman. They were the transport. They were the dockyard workers. They were the train drivers. They were the maintenance people who kept those things going.
Can you imagine?
That's what I love about the Argo, the little Argo MPVU.
Can you imagine an equivalent ship? No, I'm not saying it has to be the same, but can you imagine an Argo Endeavour? Like something in the size range of the Endeavour? I could totally get behind that. Like a really big Argo ship, because there isn't anything from Argo that's big, and you correct me if you think I'm wrong here. I think every manufacturer is going to have at least one big ship, right?
I know people have heard me say that I hate the idea of the Ion and the other horrible Crusader ship being fighters and being made by Crusader. But I equally don't like the fact that the Mole is made by Argo. I love the design aesthetic of it, but to me it's stepping them outside of what they really do, and that's just me. It's my personal preference. Jason says I can't afford jerseys. That made me chuckle.
Yeah, same here. No,
I had to mention it because I suddenly my train of thought got broken. I started to chuckle, and it's Eduardo. No, sorry, it's Jason. Doing my Colonel Clink. So yes, moving on. Broken Tangent. Yeah, we have lots of those on this channel.
Yeah.
Broken Tangent says, has there been any word on the ETA of the Corsair? It'll be ready when it's ready.
Well,
no.
let's think about the size of it. You think about the Constellation, that took a year for the rework, yeah? So I'd almost expect it end of the year. We know it went into production just at the tail end of last year. I'd say end of the year.
Yeah.
I'd even.
We haven't heard anything.
I'll chuck this back at Algared and Badges anniversary sale just to up the sales. Kind of like what happened with the MSR that year when the MSR came out. I could see anniversary sale.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Given it's the size, it's a 400 Connie kind of competitor in terms of being exploration. It's overpriced, but it does have a nice aesthetic. It's a one-man ship, not a multi-crew ship. But it does that type of role that those ships are doing.
Yeah.
So I could see it being, if it's ready, coming out with Pyro.
Yeah.
Because it's
in
that vein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just interrupt a bit? There's someone in chat called Devico talking to Trent Newman saying the Expanse will probably be viable in the next 4 to 5 months, and I don't disagree with that because you can see the model is very done because they're putting skins on it in the images. I think it's really just the gameplay that comes with it that is holding it back. We also heard about the Refinery ship right to the end of last year, and we're now 4 to 5 months later. Yeah, I think it's all been polished off. We also know that they worked on the whole series, so they're working on multiple MISC ships at the same time. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Algared, I want to check this at you though. That's a little question.
I also wouldn't be surprised if this year's Intergalactic Space Expo is brought to us by MISC rather than as the publisher.
I want to, and that's very close to the question I was going to ask. Do you think that they could get away with claiming Alien Week ship as a MISC? Because of the alien tech on a MISC ship, could they at a sale sell a MISC ship because of the alien tech on it?
I don't see why not. They sell Asperia ships as alien ships, and Asperia is not an alien company.
So the reason I asked this, right? We if you think of the sales and how they tend to sell stuff. So I'm going back over the last couple of years at Invictus, and my camera just stopped, didn't I? Heard it.
Your camera froze again.
Yeah,
it's nice to know that you're having those problems and I'm not. It's so refreshing.
So just so people know, I've been moving my camera around a lot this week. It's technically upside down at the moment, but I think, can you see me again? I don't know. You'll let me know. And this is not loading for me, so I'm gonna have to crash it. But
while Execute's fixing that,
let me
to your question, Eduardo.
Let me finish. We know the Star Bomber is coming, right? And that's a thing. We know that the Drake Mule is a thing, and that's coming. So basically, that's two of the things that they're more than likely going to sell at the sale, right? And if you look at what they've done the last couple of years, they sold 2 within the Invictus sale, and then Alien Week that happened, they sold an alien ship. So the reason I asked this is because the only one we don't have is the alien ship, but then we also know they worked on a lot of MISC ships.
Yep.
So my thing is, could they do a sneaky and we think we're getting an alien ship, but really we're getting a MISC ship that's unannounced?
And it would be possible. It would be possible for that to be the case. Yes, Eduardo, MISC is a human company. But MISC is also a company that it was the very first human company to actually have really close tie-ins with the Xeon, due to the Hull series. The Xeon actually love the Hull series. They actually build the Hull series in Xeon space under contract. And the Freelancer is actually the first product ship that was built using, in conjunction and in collaboration with Xeon manufacturer Aopera, I think, and also the MISC. And so that was the first ship. The Reliant was the second ship that came out based on that. So in a sense, those two ships are influenced and use Xeon tech. Now, there's a difference in what Consolidated Outland do. They say they are inspired by Xeon and then modify it. So they grab hold of Xeon and they, and then modify it. Whereas MISC actually work in collaboration and rework them. So yes, Alien Week is traditionally the alien ships such as a purely Xeon ship, a purely Tavaran ship, a purely Banu ship, a purely Vandal ship. But then we've got companies like Asperia that rebuild or remodel. They're a kind of like a custom cars group that find the old blueprints and then rebuild ships. So they rebuild or they take apart the Vandal ships and rebuild them for the military for training squadrons.
You just brought up something important there. It could be an Asperia ship too. It doesn't have to be an alien ship. It could be a recreation like a Devarin or something like that. I didn't even think of that until you mentioned that. That's really important.
Asperia are a human company. And they remake old designs or alien ships.
That really came about though because of that problem with the Scythe algorithm. That's why they were made though, weren't they? Back in the day. And
they came about with the Scythe, where they would actually, the Scythe, the UE captured a carrier with lots of Scythe. They took them apart, they rebuilt them.
I meant more like they were trying to, like they said they would never sell alien ships. And then they released the Scythe. People cried bloody murder. So the way they fixed it was they made a company called Asperia, which was recreations, and that's how they got around they're not really alien ships. They're alien ships that are made for the human market, and that's how they got around it. So they could sell more of them.
No, the Scythe is a proper alien ship.
Yeah, it's the one exception,
and the styles we have.
Yeah, it's the one exception.
But the others tend to be a mix. The statements that we'll never sell alien ships is before my time. So that's going ancient history.
We're also LTI will only be available to original and veteran batch creators. And that was like before. That was like 2013. So that's all changed as well. So yeah.
There's always the it'll always be cheaper for you to get in early than it is to get up late.
That's true. That's true. I'd agree with that.
No, it's not.
You don't. Oh no, with the Warbond CCUs, okay.
With the Warbond CCUs, you can get some of the, you can get a Starfarer less than 250, which is what the original backers paid for it. It's not true.
That's a bad example because the original price was 175. But yeah.
And you can still get it.
I think the better example is like the Polaris, where it was 650 at that day one of the sale. Invictus, I think it was last year or the year before, it was 525. So that's a better example. But yeah, you are right, technically speaking. I'm agreeing with you.
So, there are those issues. Anyway, let's move on to questions. Let's see. Who else has a question here?
Let Badges read the question because he's not doing a lot of talking. I want to make sure he's awake. Badges?
He's probably gone to sleep.
Yeah.
No, snoring.
Yeah, he sounds like he's asleep.
What's the next question, Badges? We'll make you read the questions.
It's embarkation.
Yeah. Whose question was that?
That's embarkation. What mini game would you like to see? That one.
Yes. I'm trying to find that in the list.
Yeah, it's there. I can see it. But anyway, what mini game would you like to see for refining? I kind of stated this in the video yesterday. Go watch how refining is done in real life. And I think a lot of it is going to be removing impurities. What that is it you physically controlling robot arms and picking it off the top? Because if you know how it's done, they heat it and they do different treatments, and basically a lot of the impurities boil to the top, and they literally just skim them off. So is that what it's going to be? Like, you got to, put it on robot arms and... Don't know. Algared, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, you want it to be engaging, you want it to be fun, and you want it to feel realistic. And how you work your mini games in on that is, could be anyone, could be anything, could be similar to modifying the levels and or whatever.
Oh, you'd have things like modifying the heat as well, because you got to have the right, like you're probably going to know, like keep the heat at something. There's so many things there. But I think it's got
There are
definitely
multiple
something to
options
do
they
with
could
it. It's definitely got to have something to do with impurities because they've talked about the levels of fuel, and so how do you get there? Well, if you know anything about fuel, it's the more impure it is, the shittier the numbers. So it's got to have something to do with impurities at some point. Anyway, sorry, Algared, for interrupting.
That's okay. I was just deciding that I needed to leave my ship and go inside because I'm now dangerously close to dying of thirst. Well, collapsing with thirst, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get...
And it looks like you're still in that horrible I'm waiting loading screen.
Yeah.
A loading screen of death.
It's definitely taken a very long time.
So, Sonny Boys asked, question, Expanse refueler variant. Yes, there is one. It's called the Starfire. Fixed it. Unlikely. Because it's the way CIG have positioned it is because it's not it's a middle ship, not an end ship. So you're going to take cargo from it to sell. So in and of itself, it's not doing that loop. So I don't think that's the way it's going to go. Anyone have anything to add on that?
No, it's all good. I do think you did miss a question though by Double O Dan.
You did miss a question.
I did, yeah.
Yep.
Well,
you only got one job.
Yeah, one job. How do you stuff that up? It's in the list and everything.
It's a shit question.
That's harsh.
Whoa.
I think it's a good question actually, but anyway.
Should I upgrade my 300i into an Expanse over 400i and a 325A I got for free with it?
I'm going to let Algared answer this because I just think all those ships are junk. So go ahead, Algared. Because I don't like Origin. So Algared, you answer it, please.
Yep. Should you upgrade your 300i to an Expanse? You've already got a 325A, which has cargo in it as well. Like, I think they're almost identical ships. I can see a value for a 325A as a fighter, but it's basically the same ship. It's like the Jax McCleary's comment about those 350. It's a racing ship with a bed. So,
can I change
if you're
my
into
answer?
Refining,
can I change my answer? I think you should upgrade both to 300 ships, one into a Prospect and one into Expanse. There you go. Get away from Origin.
So I was going to say, if Refining is your jam, then yeah. If it's not, then
you've also got to
at the moment.
Algared, you tell me this. Do you think if you and you can answer this too, Badges, if you like refining, right, at some point you must like salvage or mining. It's the only thing that kind of like. You can tell me in chat too if you disagree with me. I just like to know. Like, do you think if you like refining, and I can hear someone say not necessarily, but you have to kind of at least understand what the miner's doing and what the salvage is doing to be able to refine their shit. Yeah. So you've got to. It's all part of the chain. It's all part of the process. I can hear John here saying, "Yeah, absolutely," in my ear. He's not here, but like I can hear him in my head saying, "Yeah, absolutely," which is why I walked out and brought the refinery ship straight away. So yeah. But Badges, Badges,
yeah. I mean, we talked when we were talking a little bit about when the Expanse is due. I kind of wanted to give the same answer as I'm going to give now, which is, the refining gameplay loop is so far away that. Because, and what I mean by that is that we know we've had a gameplay loop bumped out of this year already, which is hacking. We've got two other loops that we're still expecting. Well, we're expecting a redo of one, which is the cargo refactor. We're expecting salvage, which is a big one this year. And then, I'm sure there'll be some arguments that some of the FPS stuff could be construed as a new gameplay loop, although I'm not entirely sure I see it that way.
But having the Starfire and this ship, so just for argument's sake, so the Starfire is in game. Let's say the model is sitting there. I do think this puts some kind of urgency, or at least hot coals under their feet, to get this working. Game mode destroyed. Did anyone see that? Lol. It just does not want me.
Yeah.
Are you offline, Algared? It says you're offline.
I just logged out. Yeah, I was couldn't get into the station because there was no lift access and no lift.
All right. Well, I'll load it. Are you on the menu?
And I was down to like 7%.
I'm hoping you're on the menu because it probably just sucked you in.
No, I'm not. I actually logged out.
All right.
But it was literally down to like 9% hydration. Right. So I figured, what's the point? I can't get in. You're having major problems getting in. So I just went, nah.
It's all good.
But in terms of the question from Dan, it really depends on what you want to do. And is that all you've got? If that's your fleet, then at the moment you look like you're geared up for exploration, some form of exploration in a 400i luxury touring vessel, and solo. I think you got maybe some form of light solo cargo, and
that's a mini fix my fleet right there. So get back to us. Like, what do you want to do in game? That's the next question I have. What do you actually want to do in game? Because it sounds like you've just seen pretty things and brought them. Like, and we see this a lot with Fix My Fleet stuff. Like, we had some guy turn up and go, "Oh, my favorite ship in the game is the Reclaimer," and he had like 10 ships, but he didn't have a Reclaimer. You know, so that's almost where we always start, isn't it, Algared? What do you want to do in game?
Yep.
So tell us, what do you want to do in game? Yeah.
And what is a must-have ship for you? If you know,
because for me, all of those ships are fairly small too. So I'd almost say consolidate and get something bigger. Like, and if you are an Origin fan, why don't meld them all together and get a 600i? You know, so you still get that, but you got the biggest ship, so you can take the 600i and you can earn the 400i and the 300 series very quickly. So,
and the 600 does have more cargo. It does have the ability to take a vehicle. It does have a better vehicle than the 400 can take. It is getting a rework on the interior, which will hopefully make it very nice and lovely.
Yeah.
And even by itself, it is a very nice ship to fly in terms of the weapons that the pilot's got access to. So it does, terms of its weapon loadout, compete and fairly well against the Connie.
Yeah, so
even though it's basically a bigger ship.
00 Dan, if you're still in chat, just shoot us a message, because I don't see a chat message from him, and that was posted quite a while ago. So if you're still here, Dan, just reach out and we'll talk to you about it directly. Next question, please, Mr.
Jonathan Brown.
Badges. We've got to give Badges work, or he's going to get lazy. We've got to give him work.
No, he's going to fall asleep.
Yeah, that's what we could keep him.
Okay, Badges, got a question for you.
Do you know what? It would be wonderful to fucking fit a word in edgeways with you two. Jesus H. Titty fucking Christ. Right. Sorry for the blasphemy.
All right, here's a question for you. Just for you, Badges.
Go on.
Current generation of hardwares for PCs is enough to run the game without any issues. And only server stability and optimizations could improve the performance of the game at this point? Question mark.
I would argue that is not a question. That's a statement with question marks at the end. So
after I read it, I thought yes, but your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, so the reason Algared's pointing this at me, I assume, is because I've just gone through a hardware upgrade. So prior to the middle of last year, I was playing Star Citizen on a 970. I had a 4th gen Intel CPU. I was running DDR3 RAM at 16 gigabytes. It was genuinely a painful experience. Horizon was somewhere between 6 to 8 frames. And that's when it was going well. It was just a miserable experience. Lucky enough to rob a bank over Christmas, so I'm now on a Ryzen 5600X. I've got a 3080 and I'm on decent RAM now and everything else. So what I've been amazed with, and what I bored these two to death with it, was how many bugs and that seemed to have gotten rid of, or minimized my exposure to. So it's been a long time since I've seen the empty elevator thing more than, once a week, maybe. There's a lot of stuff that I used to encounter I used to see that stuff pretty much every session and have to wait around for the elevator to appear. That's gone. And that is certainly optimization. That's certainly game code. That's certainly that sort of stuff. In terms of server stability, they've done a lot of work on that. And the 30Ks now are pretty much for loss of connection. Either the server crashes or your internet's been interrupted. It's 30Ks are not the catch-all thing that they used to be, which is good. But I think the fact that we're running the game as it is now, and we were talking about this yesterday, Algared, when we were looking at the Horizon footage that I'd captured, is just how pretty the game is.
Yeah.
And we lose it a lot because we can be so used to it. But sorry, Alex.
So from a development standpoint, yes, server stability and optimization is going to be a thing because the game's currently in development, so it's never really optimized to a completionist level, and that kind of won't happen to just before release. But the other thing that's really obvious is you can just chuck more hardware at it. Where my brain went was like there's the new series of cards coming this year. So, and this game is still X number of years away. And what I actually think the biggest, scariest thing that my brain went to the next step after that is Unreal Engine 5 just came out. If it takes another 3 years, there's literally going to be Unreal Engine 5 games that look better than this game before this game is out. So this game is almost now taken too long. If it came out like this year, it would still be fine. But I don't like Squadron 42 will look amazing, but I do now sadly think Star Citizen is going to start to age because they can put more polygons into newer ships as they come out. They can do stuff like that. But I'm going off for your original question, so I am tangenting.
Yeah,
but, yeah.
And I think the question is really asking: is our generation of hardware strong enough or good enough to run Squadron 42, or do we need to wait for that improved performance?
If you can run it at 70 frames per second now, when it's optimized, that'll go up significantly. Yeah. And
there's the areas that we all struggle. Horizon is one of them, because it is that pretty. Horizon is just it's a frames pitfall. But the fact that people on 3080s are only getting 30 frames in Horizon shows how much work they have to do on the optimization and how much that's going to improve, right? And like we said, as they add
clouds, let me just say this: the clouds is a really hard thing to add into a game like this, because the only other game that's really got those clouds, let's be honest, is Microsoft Flight Simulator, and that is a plane flying in. The ground's really far away, and the clouds that. It doesn't have a lot of detail. You fly into a game like this, you can literally go down to that on-foot level and all the detail. That's not where a game I'd add clouds to, because those clouds eat up a lot of,
And when you consider it, when you're doing Flight Simulator, you are the plane, not the...
Exactly. There's no player. There's that's exactly my point, Algared, yeah.
Yeah. And there's Brian Mackay says in chat while we're talking about it, so he says, look, and I think it's not part of this conversation. I don't think they're looking at different chips and stuff in chat. It is all I would say at the moment, because of everything we've just said, is do not necessarily go tracing upgrades purely for Star Citizen, because it is so poorly optimized. You are not going to get the leap in performance that you expect. So unless it's impacting on your ability to actually play the game, I wouldn't necessarily. If you've got the expendable cash, by all means, go with it. Go for it. Do your boots.
As content creators, we're the exception, not the rule. Like I had to go get a new video card because I had to be able to film the game, and it's the same for you. But a normal person, if you can play the game, like as someone's saying, they got 270. Super, so that's fine. That's all you need. But and if you can live with those frames, that's fine. But when you're making content creation, it's completely different, because if you have that startup, people will get pissed off. So and
the other thing, bearing in mind, one of the reasons my content's taken such a gap between the last thing I released on the channel and stuff that's coming out is that nobody wants to watch footage at 20 frames a second.
Yeah.
It's vomit inducing. It's not fun for anyone. You can't show off what it is you're trying to show off. How can you talk about how pretty a location is at 20 frames a second? So unfortunately, I was in that nasty thing of all I could do was show stock footage, and then to come and upgrade, there are no 10 series because of the chip shortage. There are no 20 series because of the chip shortage. There were the 1060s and whatever else, that stuff. But that wasn't enough of a jump for me. So if I wanted to go anywhere, I had to go to the 30 series. You know, and Brian says, you know, absolutely. If you're, like I say, if your CPU's that old, if it's getting in the way, upgrade. But you know, you'll be kind of disappointed if your primary game is Star Citizen. You come into it, you expect this massive jump. I mean, if I
can I put it in a way that'll make sense? When I upgraded, the only game that really felt the effects, there were two games that really felt the effects. Hunt Showdown went from about 75 frames a second to 144, and it very rarely drops below 140. So that is insane. And then Star Citizen. But if Hunt's a release game on the same engine, that kind of can slightly tell you what to expect. It's not exactly the same, obviously, because there's been upgrades, improvements. But if I'm getting 75 frames in Hunt, and I'm now getting 70 frames in an unoptimized game of Star Citizen, you could expect... Could I expect over 100 frames in Star Citizen when it's optimized? I would say yes, on my current hardware. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's what you've got to look at. That we know that Star Citizen isn't optimized yet, and if you're buying, and as Execute and Badger have both said, if you're looking at upgrading a computer, you've got to upgrade
to Star Citizen.
Wait
till Star Citizen's out before you upgrade for it.
But you know, if you have to upgrade, but don't upgrade just specifically for Star Citizen because you want better frame rates. It's not going to happen. But even going back to Orison, which is a lag fest, and I've said it a couple of times, I was down at Orison when the Crux Cup was on. There were 30-odd people flying ships and, you know, the others. And I flew in there, with the cloud tech on, and I wasn't experiencing any lag. So even in that situation, with it being a lag fest, I was surprised at how smooth Orison was on that day. Now, that was just luck, maybe, but yeah. So,
the reason I reference kind of Orison all the time when I talk about games, I'm talking about Orison because it is the one FPS sync that we have. And the reason I say be careful about your upgrading is obviously, you know, whatever it is now, whatever the price is that you could get a 3080 for. My 970 went from 6 to 8 frames in Orison to 30 frames, 32 frames now on the 3080.
Can I just say one thing about Orison specifically?
2 seconds. You know, the money that I paid to upgrade to a 3080 does not justify 24 frames a second. No. You know, the money is not justified by that at all. So, yeah, sorry, Gex, go on.
No, that's fine. So the other thing about Orison, it's not just the clouds. It's also because they are floating platforms. There is a further line of sight. So if you think about Hearst and how buildings block stuff, Microtech buildings block stuff, it's a trick developers do. They'll always put things in the way so they can, you know, free up and de-render stuff and stuff like that. You can't do that with Orison because Orison is just floating platforms everywhere, you know, so it's a lot harder to... Obviously, they've worked in a lot of LODs, level of detail, to have lower polygon floating platforms. Yeah. But I still think, like, you look out and you can see, 20, 30 platforms? Where in Orison, Orison, say you look at it in Hurston, it could just be one building and it's blocking everything. So, and I'm using extreme examples just so you can clearly understand. But yeah, I don't think it's purely the cloud tech. I think the cloud tech is definitely doubled in Orison because it's upper and lower and it's all the way out in every direction. And that because you don't have that the surface of the terrain to kind of block half of it, it does make it harder. But I still think Orison's a really big achievement. I really generally do. Like there's, it's so different from anything than any other game that we've seen. Like I'm trying to think of the last time I saw a Cloud City, and I'm going back to like you obviously go to Star Wars games, but they don't have any cloud tech in them. So it's literally just like a skybox.
Yeah.
So,
well, one of the things I found really interesting graphically about Horizon is if you wake up in the Habs, you come down into the lift, you enter the lobby, right? Rather than running out straight, if you go right at the first opportunity, you basically double out a back on yourself and you come out at the back of the building, right?
Yep.
And you've got the hospital on your left, you're pointed towards the showroom. When you come down those steps onto the platform, stop and turn immediately 90 degrees right. And in front of you, there's a drop down into a little level. There's a set of trees there. If you stand and watch for a second, there are cherry blossoms falling off the trees, and they're doing exactly what CIG said they were going to do, which is they are gathering on the floor dynamically. They are moving with the wind. They are getting caught on obstacles, all this sort of stuff. And that, just watching that is phenomenal. Just that feeling, how much more tactile it makes it. So all I did with the advanced camera was I just moved the camera forward of my character, and I zoomed in and caught it on, recorded it and showed it to a friend, and they are convinced that it is cinematic because the level of detail on the tree, watching the cherry blossoms swirl around in the breeze. The lighting, because it was kind of early evening, so you had the trees uplit and all, the glow flies zipping about.
Oh, come on. You've got a full sunset in that. Come on.
Well, I mean, spoilers. But yes, yeah, but just that little bit of zooming in, they were convinced it was a cinematic. So yeah.
And it does look like it. It really does. If you were looking at it, we were discussing that when we were looking at it yesterday as well, weren't we? We were saying it really does look cinematic. And I made the comment. I said, and to think this is not, but brought it up, and I said, yeah, and that's in game. It's not. It's just mind blowing.
If you consider what I said about other games, it's skyboxes. There are no skyboxes in this game because it's seamless. So there's no hiding in this game. That's what makes it so impressive. Like it's just.
Yeah.
There's no tricks. It's you see it, you can go there, and that's so different from anything else.
Absolutely.
And if you do go back to the question in terms of hardware, one of the things Chris has always wanted to do is push the envelope as far as he can in terms of what the games can do.
Yeah.
And that you look at if you go back to Wing Commander, that game really had an influence on our motherboards. It's why our motherboards now have those sound cards on them, because back in the day when after Wing Commander came out, every game started to do the same type of thing, and you needed to have a sound blaster on your card to play the games. If you didn't have it, it just sounded crap. And because of that, we now have they're now integrated. That is the type of stuff that we see. Chris Roberts is kind of pushed in his games. It's why when I first heard of the game, and I saw Chris Roberts saying, "Hi, you might remember such games as." I was all in at that point. I knew, even though we were still only in our hangars, I knew this would be massive. Even then, I didn't know when it'd come. I just knew it'd be massive.
Right.
And I knew it'd push our computers as far as they could.
Sure. So
next question.
Just to buy me the time I need to go and get a drink while we're talking, Embarkation asks, do you think the loaner for the Endeavour will be updated to the Odyssey when it's released?
Not at the moment, because the Endeavour is less than the price of the Odyssey. But if the Odyssey was to jump, yes. Algared?
They may not. It certainly can't hurt to put it out there. CIG will do what CIG does. I can't answer that question in terms of what the loaners will be.
No, at the moment, but if the Expanse goes up in price, the Endeavour goes up in price, yes. Because they tend to be ships underneath it they're given as loaners. So yeah. Probably a stupid question, but I don't understand this is by Mikado Nagayo, Japanese name that I can't pronounce. I'm butchering it. Mikako Nagayo. Probably a stupid question, but I don't understand the Expanse and what the gameplay is. Aren't refining jobs just start and collect when it's done? And what can it do that a transporter prospect can't? Well, they've actually stated that when you're doing on a ship, they will be active. So it's not just you start a process like on a station. And because of that, excuse me, because they're active, they'll be quicker.
Mm.
So if you want your money sooner, the preference is to get a player to do it rather than a refining station. Algared, do you want to add to that? Or?
And the other side of that is it's a gameplay loop, you know. So if you're mining and you're selling your stuff to a refinery ship, you're able to then, you know, not load it. You're then able to keep mining, so you can keep going. The refinery ship, if you're working with a mate, and you're going to split the profits. They're going to refine the ore. They're going to increase the value of that ore. It's going to take up less storage space, less storage space, etc., etc. So,
just to answer Magado, you need to put question in front. No, you don't actually. As long as there's question in whatever you're saying, we see it. So everything from like people that don't put it in brackets to everything. So we just made it question. So anytime anyone
as long as you have questions somewhere, it'll pull it out.
Yep. But yeah, it's always nice and neat and easier to pull up if you've got it in the square brackets. So Chris Bates asked question: can you ignite spilled fuel? Oh,
not yet.
That'd be really cool if you could, but yeah. Maybe
they did talk about way back in the day. They did talk about Starfarers going big bad, kaboom, and I think it was they used to say that Quantanium was really explosive. So you blow them up, you'd have an even bigger impact, and your camera is frozen again looking at it.
Yeah, I turned it off.
So not at the moment, but I expect it will be a thing down the track. When they get those fire, the fire propagation working properly. But we keep seeing time and time again. Eduardo said I had to step out. Got any other questions answered? We've moved on a little bit. Robert Vons.
Yeah.
How many?
I think that's it. Just picking up the word question as opposed to an actual question.
That was. Well, he was asking in terms of your question about the Starfarer looking like a lying down Voltron. His question is how many people know who Voltron is. Good point. Old people. Teenagers don't.
Whoa. That's really old.
Voltron's actually on
Algared.
There are a lot of people watching Voltron because there's a new cartoon series of it on Netflix. So all you did is show everyone how old you are by not knowing there's a new one.
Well, I've never said that I'm not old.
Yeah,
you know, I'm referred to as Old Man Hurston or Old Man Owl.
That's what I say when. That's what I say when people ask me how you are. I go old.
Yep.
Okay, and then
so teenagers probably do know it. So it's maybe the mid-20-year-olds or 30-year-olds who don't know. Who knows? All right.
Up to Slasher Clone badges. No.
No, sorry. Slasher Clone.
Yep, that's where we're up to.
Slasher Clone says, do you think the raft could be the engine with a number of orbital train cars that it fills and uses to be competitive with other haulers?
It would be nice if it was.
I don't think...
see no evidence of it.
I think, like, can I be honest, that's the whole series, what you're trying to explain. That they are the long haul truckers of this universe. I don't think they're going to try and make a train out of rafts. I just don't see it.
And I'd agree with that. But it would be nice to see a raft as a road train. But and in a sense, that's what the Caterpillar was originally.
True.
From the original, you'll remember the original thing. You could didn't used to have a limit of number of sections it could have, and then they, originally said, you could just have the cab and the front section, or you could have a cab and 4 sections, or you could have a cab and 5 sections. And they then went, no, we can't do that. That's basically a ship for every. Now, if you do a cab, the Caterpillar cab and just a front module, that is a ship in itself. And then you do a second one module. So they just we'll keep it at 5 because that's a nightmare otherwise. But And I imagine if you were doing a road train out of a raft, you'd be doing exactly the same problem.
Yeah.
So they won't do it. It'd be nice, but they won't do it.
Trent Newman says, I'm thinking of melting my upgraded pledge MSR to get the Expanse. Just want your thoughts on that. Should I wait for Fleet Week, as I've only been playing for a month? I'm going to get in before everyone else and say you've got to go with what you feel. Going on others' recommendations to upgrade or not doesn't always necessarily produce the best gaming experience. But that said, you're talking about two massively different ships. So the beauty of your MSR is that it's able to do a whole bunch of different roles, right? It's going to be able to data run. It's going to be able to explore because it's got that scanner room to an extent. You've got cargo. You've got vehicle gameplay potentially. You've got multi-crew gameplay with friends. You could put cover quads and whatever in the back of it. So you've got options there. The Expanse is not only a single role ship, it's a single role in the middle of a chain.
It's a niche.
So you've got...
Algared. The thing I was also going to say is it sounds like to me, Algared, and this was a question I was going to ask you, he's chasing the flavour of the month.
Could well be. The other thing you need to consider, but certainly since you've got an MSR and you're looking at the Expanse, don't get pulled in by the lovely name Expanse. A great name, but I'm not sure it applies.
I'm pretty sure the reason it's called the Expanse is just because the bags, because they expand. I think that's all it is. I also think everything that Badger said is absolutely correct. I do think, though, as a new player, you are chasing that flavour of the month. I also think you got to remember that there are going to be heaps of people that already have this ship. You can try it out. You don't want to, like as Badger said, stay with something generalised because you can generally move off. And also, because you've already got a bigger ship, there's another, we've talked about today, there's another refinery ship coming. There's already the Starfarer that's larger than it again. I think you're better to go up before you go back down, personally. But yeah, sorry, Algared, go ahead.
And the other thing is your MSR is a multi-crew ship. So as Badger said, you can do it with yourself and a couple of mates, or you can do it by yourself.
Yeah.
The Refinery, the Expanse, is a solo player ship. You can't. There's not really room for you to be. Come into my ship and we'll do this together. It's let's take this ship out and you take out your ship and we'll work together. So it is a totally different gameplay loop.
Yeah. If you really get into that refinery stuff, I think you're better to wait for the next refinery along to come and then consider going off the MSR to that. Don't go backwards, because the other thing is you might have saved money on it. There's a whole other thing, a bunch of things in there to answer. Sorry.
If you're looking at upgrading from an MSR to the Expanse, it probably means you have saved money on it.
Yep.
I was only laughing at you, Algared, because I just had it in my head when you said that CIG need to release a bumper sticker that says MSR pilots do it by themselves. Sorry. Yeah, anyway. I think...
That would have been Expanse. Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing...
MSR pilot,
Yeah, absolutely. Trent, the other thing I would say to you, buddy, is that the MSR is something you can get your hands on now. If you change now for the Expanse, you're not going to have your hands on it. You're going to have your hands on the loaner.
The loaner apparently is the core, so that's a huge downgrade.
I've heard that it's not. I heard it's the Prospector.
Well, well, John said it. Well, let's have a look. Ship.
Yeah, I reckon John's just ended up with one and completely missed it. Why do you look at that? The best thing I would recommend to do, Trent, is yes, of course, the price will go up slightly when the ship is released. That always happens. We know that as a matter of course. But I would say for those concept ships that we look at, that you go, I want that, and no one's going to tell me any different. This is the Perseus for me, right? I want the Perseus, and no one's going to tell me any different. That as a concept ship is worth getting for me, because I want it and no one's going to tell me any different. If you're on the fence, wait until it comes out, because I think that slight price increase, especially at the low end, like the Expanses, and I can't believe I'm talking about a computer game ship at $100 and whatever being at the low end. But there we go. That's where we are. Strange world we find ourselves in.
I do agree.
You're not using masses. We're not talking about the Odyssey, which is $700 now. Could well be 4 figures by the time it's released, right?
Yeah. Just quickly, I do agree the Prospector makes so much more logical choice for a refinery ship, considering they're both at the $150 price point. So I think John's just, I don't know. It sounded weird. It sounded weird when he said it, and I was like, oh, but
yes,
yeah. But
I'd have been surprised by that because it's such a cheap ship in comparison.
If it was a Prospector and a core, I could get behind that, but.
Yeah,
maybe
I hope
maybe
that
it's
helps,
the.
Trent,
I think it would be the core in Arena Commander because it doesn't. You can't use a Prospector in Arena Commander, so maybe he's mixed it up. But we'll see.
Sure.
Yeah, that might be it.
You know, so hopefully that helps. You know, the other thing I would say, and I would say this to anyone, and if there's anyone here who's thinking about buying the game, for the love of God, don't just yet. There is literally a free fly coming up at the end of May, beginning of June, which is the Fleet Week. It's the military celebration in-game that happens every year.
Packages as well.
Exactly that. You're going to get to fly military ships, a selection of military ships for free.
Yep.
And then at the end of the year, at November, there's the free fly where you get to fly absolutely everything. Try it. Yeah. And, you know, take that slight price increase as at least I know I actually want it.
I think going back to what Algared said, you are better to stay with a generalized ship if you only have one ship. So my only, like, if you want to change from the MSR, look at another generalized ship like a Constellation, a Cutlass, a Constellation. I said that already. A Caterpillar, like something in that price range that's multi-role versatility. I wouldn't be taking a step back to a single-player ship. No. That for me, that would be a separate purchase, or just you don't need it. Like as Badges is kind of saying, like you there are so many people in game that have it, and the fact that it's not actually in game at the moment is a really bad idea. Wouldn't recommend.
If it's your jam, you go for it. But if it's not,
yeah.
And to reiterate what Badges was saying, if you're getting into the game, for God's sake, just buy a starter pack.
Yeah, real quick.
Buy a starter pack with as small a ship as you can afford.
Yep.
Don't
get sucked in. That's what they do. They suck you in, and everyone goes up this chain and just buys all these ships. You don't need to do that. Just real quickly, Brian,
they are lovely and pretty ships.
Real quick, Brian in chat is saying he's going to log in and let us know. So Brian, let us know when you figure out what ship it is. That is.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
But but there are lots of pretty lovely ships. I'm tempted with the Expanse. Do I need the Expanse? No.
Yeah.
Do I like the look of it? Yes. But
you've got bigger and better ships, Algared, so you're probably better just getting the bigger one.
And is it a ship that I can play solo?
Yep.
And when I look at that, the answer is no. I can't play it solo. I can think of ways I could, but do I really just want to be doing the refinery and not mixing with people and going down the station and buying stuff?
So someone just linked something, and it is like what we suspected. Miss Prospector for gameplay in the Persistent Universe, and the Reliant Core, which will be for Arena Commander. Yeah, that's exactly what it... Yeah. Cool.
So...
Yeah, cool.
So, so if you're getting in the game, just get a starter pack.
Yep.
So, Feathers McGraw says, do people think that asking CIG when their ships are coming out will make them come out sooner? Absolutely. At every possible opportunity, just do Gib and then whatever ship you want. It makes it faster, scientifically proven. Go and do it.
I've been doing it with Banner Merchant for over almost 10 years now. Look how well it's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it took, 8 years for the Carrack?
Yeah.
Or 7 years for the Carrack?
Yeah.
The gibboning.
So, yeah, the gibboning.
It'll be the goal. Set to the goalpost though. The Banner Defender. That'll be the longest boat. It was 2012 to now. So yeah, it's crazy. Like that's 3 times long as you'd wait for a game, let alone just a ship. But yeah. Anyway,
John Crew is likely to say every time you ask. I think he said it once, but I could see him saying it.
Yeah.
Every time you ask me for the ship, it delays it.
Yeah. Okay, so Lloyd Vandenboer says...
You missed one. You missed one.
No, I didn't.
Yep. Sorry, you're right. I was wrong.
Says, do you expect any new ships to be released during Fleet Week?
Yeah, we kind of mentioned that before.
Yeah, always. There'll be a military ship announced during Fleet Week.
So generally at the sales of Invictus, the last couple of years, it's been 3 ships. We know of 2 of them at the moment because we know the one from the vote image from last September. The last one is most likely going to be the Star Bomber. And that looks like it's heavily favoured towards theatres of war because they need something to be able to, drop bombs on ships and stuff because at the moment they're just all fighters. So that makes a lot of sense. And that kind of, if you think of the analogy of that, that's kind of why they made the Steel, but the Steel is just not good for anything else bar that. So it's just a terrible ship in general. And then the other one besides the Star Bomber that we know in the code is the Drake Mule. And everyone that we've talked to is they think of the Mule from Serenity, but I'm thinking kind of like a flat platform that hovers and maybe you can stand on it and drive it. And it Algared even said, and I agree with him, wouldn't it be nice if that could park on the side of the Caterpillar and go up the elevator, in, unload, come back and down. And there is definitely Algared's right, there's an integration between all the Drake stuff. So that makes a lot of sense to me, Algared. And it's seeing it possibly driving into the back of, say, something like a Cutlass. And I could see it doing both of those. I don't know about you. And I could also see it on a Kraken as well, going along the hallways in the Kraken from one end of the ship to the other. But you tell me, Algared, or Badges, yeah. What? Just real quickly.
What it is. I see the Mule as being some form of something similar to what he did see on Serenity.
I'll just say real quick. Real quick, it's confirmed to be a vehicle. I do want to point that out. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah. And and being a vehicle, I'd like it to have hovertech type stuff, and be able to do that with the Cat and the others. But once they get the lifts working on the Caterpillar, it won't need to have hovertech. So it could be either.
It could just be like a little cargo truck. Like it literally could be just like a utility truck too. But again, you got to think of, like, as I said, Drake's really interesting because they always integrate with each other. So I just started to, like you started it, Algared. Once you brought that up in my head, I was just like, oh man, like how can it work with everything else? And then I started thinking, well, if it is some kind of little loader unloader, I can see it working on all those different ships. So anyway, sorry, Badges, your thoughts on
Thank you, Brian, for confirming that for us. He says, yes, even if you get the Roughneck pack, it's still a Prospector in the core.
Cool.
Fantastic. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. It's really good. Eduardo, don't worry, mate. You chat away and chat. That's what it's there for, buddy. You're not annoying anyone. Don't worry about it. Boogie. Sorry, about the Mule. Sorry. Yes. I'm hoping for something really damn rickety. I'm hoping for something that maybe has a bed in the back, like a proper trucker's cab.
Don't lie to us, Badges. You're actually hoping it's an actual mule that just has Drake burned on the side like a brand. Just burned into
I hope it is. I hope they basically just bought the rights from Serenity and actually give us the mule.
Yeah.
I would not have a problem with that fanfic crossover whatsoever. Just give us.
And in fairness, like you think of Drake and you look at the Serenity Mule, it does kind of fit their aesthetic.
Yeah. So this is what he's talking about, by the way. So just to open a couple of these so we can see what we're talking about. So this is it from the movie, but it was also designed to carry cargo in this front section, but they never really ever kind of carried cargo. They just used it for transport. So I think I'd envision it if it was something like this, Algared and Badges. I think you kind of agree. It's more likely one seat and then unless they do just make it a troop transporter like this.
I think I did see it once in one of the episodes actually being used to load cargo onto the ship.
It's in the movie as well. So yeah, they do. Maybe the seats fold down and you put cargo where the seats are. I'd have to go back and look at it extensively to figure it out.
No, it's kind of in that front. They kind of use it like a front end loader.
Yep, cool.
From memory.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But yeah, to me that looks like Drake aesthetic. That could also have been because it's a utility vehicle. That's the type of thing I would have seen being a cargo. But
yeah, and then something else. Gib Odin, Boogie says, "Will my wife ever stop being an old battle axe?" I don't know, Boogie. She's fine when I'm there.
I was going to say go get a new wife, but that's even hard. Yeah. Yours was even harsher than mine. But yeah, okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, dude.
Say, sorry, not sorry.
Stop buying warships. Stop buying spaceships, and she might like you more.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Girls, women have got their devices. We've got ours. Like I know.
Moving swiftly on before I get decked.
Right, yeah.
Terra SPM. So the Expanse is a starter ship. What manufacturer do you hope will make a bigger refinery ship? I think we kind of covered this, didn't we? Argo, we're expecting to be the next step up. Orion obviously has a refinery on it. The Starfarer Gemini. What I think, just to paraphrase conversations we've had around this, what we're expecting is the base level stuff to be the general refinery.
Yep.
There might be a larger general refinery, but then it to start to specialize in, fuels and, mineral, as in metals and that sort of stuff.
I would almost, I don't know where it's going to split, but I think like if you look at the Starfarer, that is more liquid and gas, and if you look at the Orion, that is clearly more ore, right? And we know the Orion's got an ore as well, so I think that's the split. Do I think if you went one step back down the chain, could you see a liquid and gas refinery specifically for liquid and gas that doesn't do the fuel? Because you got to realize, the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is gas and liquid mining is just something that's not even been touched yet. All the mining we see in game right now is ore mining. Right, we don't have those gas nodes or liquid nodes, or and the only ship we know that can collect any gas at the moment is the Starfarer. So, does that mean we're going to get a starting gas collector, a starting liquid collector? Like you got to start to run these through things. There's just so much of this game we haven't seen yet, and that's why they don't talk about a lot of that stuff, because that's why they've never mentioned if this thing collects liquid or gas, but it clearly has to based on other things they've said as well. So, I don't know. It's weird. I was going to ask a question though, real quickly, Algared, because you're more law than I. So when I look at industry manufacturers, Crusader might get in there as well, but I'm thinking Argo and Misk. Is there anything else that is specifically industry? Because I know Drake and Aegis do it a little bit, and RSI a little bit.
I struggle with Argo being industry because I don't see them as industry. I see them as infrastructure. So their history is they were maintaining the rail lines. They built
I'm going to stop you because you're tangenting. Can you answer my question? Besides, if you don't see Argo as industry, what are the other?
Everyone sees them as industry. Whereas the ships that are industry, if you look at Drake is into salvage. If you look at RSI, they're into they've kind of got that aesthetic with their mining. You've got Misk with the Starfarer, so they're the companies that early on were based as being your industry ships. You had Misk, RSI, and Drake at that level. But that's now blown out.
So let me ask a follow-up question then. If it wasn't Argo as this, the mole refinery, what could you see it being? Like if you were to just take a stab, because my instinct went RSI because of the mining, but you tell me. If it wasn't Argo.
If I was looking for a next step up, based on what they've done already, I would say. I'd probably go Argo being the upgraded miner, but I wish they hadn't made the mole Argo. I wish it had been something else. Whether it was a brand new company. A bit like I don't like the massive fighter from Crusader, but the name that eludes me. I always hate.
Well, that's just they're changing the law as they go to suit the sales. Actually, someone stated they mention a consolidated outland ship, and they are, because they're the out on the fringe type people.
Yep.
That could be one too. I didn't think of that until just then.
Consolidated outland, or even though they don't really have that, and people keep trying to push them into this Elon Musk type ship. In terms of industry, they do have a Pioneer. That was their second ship, but we saw. So that would be something that could work. And we also don't have too many consolidated outland ships anyway. So
an Origin refinery ship that only refines gems because of the bling bling.
No, they don't refine them; they polish them and cut them. Cut and polish.
Not gonna happen, but I could see that would be funny. All right, Badges.
Yeah, I agree.
What about you? What about you, Badges? What if it wasn't Argo, but I think Argo is the highest contender.
Yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it? Yeah, I think Consolidated Outland is the other place that we go with that. You know, if you're going to make something on the ground, maybe Tumble do it.
So to take that though, like if we all agree it's most likely going to be Argo, if there is another one between the Starfarer and the Orion and that, I think that clearly points to Sunu or RSI, personally. But and the only reason I say RSI is because RSI has the Orion, so therefore they have to be in contention. And RSI, I don't know. You correct me if you think I'm wrong here, but RSI seems to be like a bit more of the most generalized manufacturer in the entire game. They have a ship in almost every pocket. If you think about it, like they got a medical ship. They're the oldest manufacturer, so they made the Zeus. They've got. If they're the oldest, then therefore they've been around the longest. They'd have to be the most diversified. So it makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Next question.
Okie dokie. So, yeah, it seems to be variations of, you know, we've got Loud Guns saying, I'm still betting on brackets praying for a large or capital Argo refinery ship. Yeah, I think we've just done that to death. Jason Sereth says, what would you do for a Star Kit and Dragonfly? That's not the question. The question is, what would I do to not have a Star Kit and Dragonfly?
Do you know how close they got to being sued from Hello Kitty by the way? It was quite close. Yeah, so that's why we've not seen any more Star Kit and stuff, because it was they are very vicious, the Hello Kitty people, and it's clearly a rip on that. So they dodged a massive bullet with that, and I don't think you'll ever be able to get one again because of how close they've become.
And in answer to that question, I don't need to do anything.
He's got one,
and I'm pretty certain Execute doesn't either.
No, I don't have one. I didn't really want it.
I can't remember what I did to get it, but I do have one.
You did a lot of referrals to yourself. That's how you got it.
There you go.
You bought a lot of, so you bought $40 ships and you made like 10 accounts and brought a ship on every single one.
No,
and then
I
gifted the
don't
ships
buy
back to
$40
yourself.
ships. I just buy $40 gift packs.
Oh, whatever you brought, but you brought bought $40 worth of stuff because that's what you had to buy, and then you gifted it back to yourself. I remember you and Hayes talking about back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's how I did it.
Yeah.
I had forgotten.
They had to spend $400 to get it, but he got it. Yeah.
Well, it was because I was going to spend that money anyway.
Exactly. So yeah, you were just reinvesting in yourself. That's fine. Right.
Zed Pilot says, so you think the Constellation series will be able to fit cargo crates of raft size on their elevator? Yeah, if it doesn't fit one way, it'll fit the other, right?
Yeah.
So if it doesn't fit lengthways, you put it in.
I'd have to check the measurements. No, it'd only think lengthways. It wouldn't fit across because that's a lot wider. I'd have to do the measurements, but yeah, if you can fit one in long ways, there's no reason why you can't stack 3 across and then 3 across on that and then 3 again. So yeah, it's possible. But you got to remember they carry. Oh god, I have to think about that now, because if it's 3 cargo,
96 cargo.
Yeah, but if it's that means each one of those cargo containers is what is it? 32 each.
No, 32.
Yeah, and then that whole cargo bay is the same. No, they don't fit then. Just by logic, they can't fit. Because it's a 3D space versus like long logs. No, they can't. It doesn't. It just on the matrix of space.
You'd probably be able to get one in.
I think you could empty out the cargo. I think that's that's a strength and a weakness of all the different cargo ships, because if you've got to carry them in those big containers, yes, you can pick them up quicker and move them quicker, but you're going to eventually have to unload them at some point. So while you're loading, it's like shipping containers that we use today. Awesomely good for when you're moving stuff, but if you only want to fill half a container, it costs you more.
It's like the problem I always have with the Constellation in terms of, yes, you can put 96 cargo units in there and it fills it from base to the top, but then when you lower the cargo grid, you've still got cargo kind of above. So it kind of makes it difficult to get off. So
I think that's a question that will come with the cargo factor too, because once we start getting all weird shaped cargo, how often do you really think you're actually going to get to the maximum cargo size? It won't happen all the time, because this is a very flat piece of cargo, or it's a very weird shape of cargo. You just can't get to 96 because it's flatter or lower and something. Yeah. Well, put it this way: what if you put a grey cat in with the cargo? You can't put cargo on top of the grey cat, so therefore it lowers the cargo that you can carry.
Yep.
It's just a simple physics.
Yeah. We've got the Raelian for those weird shaped cargo, because
I think
weird shaped containers.
Yeah, I think it fits them in if you turn them so they run forward to aft rather than a beam. Yeah.
I'd run them lengthways rather than sideways, but yeah.
Yeah. And of course, the Taurus will take more than the others because she's got an elongated cargo bay.
All right, I'm just going to put a call out now. If you have any more questions, put them in now, because in a couple of minutes I'm going to cut off the questions because we've just passed the 3-hour mark, and Badges needs to go to bed.
Yep.
We've got,
he was only going to be here for about an hour or so.
Yeah, he should have been on camera, but the main excuse he had was that he was nude. So I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, put your camera in.
No, that was the main excuse you gave him. The main excuse he gave, in fairness, was he was only going to hang around for a little bit and then go to bed.
But now he's been here for the whole
time. There.
Yeah.
So that's because you made him work. That's why he didn't go to bed.
What's quite interesting is, although it wasn't phrased as a question, when we were talking about the industrial, what ship's going to go next with the refining, I think the doctrine suggested Banu. And
that's true.
Eduardo picked up on this. What about alien industrial ships?
Yeah, that's a total thing. Like let's just steer back to the sail. A refinery ship for Alien Week. That's totally a thing. We've talked about this before, but how do you pull that out of off the cuff?
Yeah,
there's no precedence for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. The question, I suppose, becomes: is everything in the ship alien? So are they going to have to make 2 refinery processes? Are they going to have to make the gameplay for human ships and the gameplay for alien ships? Or is this an alien ship remade by humans, but all the refining kit is still human, and therefore it's the same gameplay?
So say they bring out the Banner Merchantman, when they get around to doing the Banner Merchantman as a race that we can play, because they've talked about bringing the different races out as things. I think they would take a ship like the Banner Merchantman, they would go back in and they would retrofit just the beds and the consoles to be the height for those characters. And that's not recreating a whole ship. That is just retroactively changing the consoles and the beds, and that to fit to that metric of that character. And I think that's a far lot less work than redoing the whole thing. Especially if they have if they're pre-making that with the knowledge in mind, you could have different textures for different areas. So these are the consoles, this is the textures that it uses, and it's separate from. So it's not just one texture for the entire ship. And knowing the size of these ships, they have to definitely be broken up. So I think eventually they could go back and, again, if you look at a bed, if they design a bed to be just longer, a human can use it and a Banu can use it. And we are seeing things like you brought up yourself, the Zion in the Raelian, the scratching post thing. Yeah, it's already there.
That's already in. It's already there. And I think the beds are different, aren't they? They're stand-up beds for the Zion and lie-down beds for humans.
And think about the Zion tech, how it's all floaty and stuff. You walk up to a console, it just floats the appropriate height. A Banu chair, when you sit in the Defender, it just floats the appropriate height. So they've kind of preemptively thought of this so they can just, so we'll have an animation for the human and have an animation for the Banu, and two people can sit in the same chair at different heights. They've kind of thought of this. So I don't think it's going to be as complex as you initially believe. So, yeah.
I think they've even...
Sorry,
go on. I was just going to say, I think they've also changed the metrics of the people. I remember ages ago it was once said that, the Banu were, towered above humans, and now you see the graphics, and they're all, within a head size of each other.
Yeah. The Zion are shorter, the Banu are taller. That's what I remember. You correct me if I'm wrong. Like they're like the Banu are about the same size as the Vandal at about 7 feet, and the Zion are like 5 to 4.5 feet, something like that. Yeah, what I remember. But yeah, that's been a while. But I'd have to look it up.
And I can remember early on they were talking about, people say, we'll just go out and get a Vandal ship, and you couldn't because the size metrics were different, so you wouldn't actually fit in the Vandal scythe if you captured it. You actually had to have it retrofitted for your use. So,
yeah. 'Cause the question is like, what makes it alien? I mean, come out of the game for a second and just think about CRG and the pricing and everything else, right? You've got an alien ship that has a normal refining process on it that is no way alien. It's like, well, hang on, you are literally just using the alien cool factor to bump up the price of the ship. It's doing things that are no different. So the question is, let's think of mining. What would make an alien miner alien? Is it just the look? Is it the skin? Are you expecting the same HUD? Are you expecting it to be slightly different? Because I think...
Can I just say something that's going on in chat? Yeah. And it's a visual that I'm going to put there. Rusty Cox said, introducing the ore slug. And I instantly thought of the brain bug from Starship Troopers, but it's like eating ore, like this giant slug. So, yeah, it could be more organic, or it could be like... Yeah. We like the only ships that are like that at the moment are the Banu, but they're not organic. They're more like Farscape, where they're organically grown, but they're fixed. But can you actually imagine a ship that was literally... Like I'm thinking, like in Doom, where they had cyborg half biological, half cyborg. That could be amazing. Imagine a giant.
Mean like a bee?
No, I'm thinking more like a giant octopus that literally has tentacles and shit like that, and it literally picks rocks up and chucks it into like a big metal mouth and starts crunching them all up. You could have something really bizarrely alien that would be sick.
I was thinking like the bee. It eats a pot. Eats nectar and all the rest of it, and poops out. Or vomits out.
That works too.
Honey.
That works the same. But like I just went drastically like the octopus because it's a visual you can see. But you can have something.
Or as my friends always say, cat doo coffee.
So think about all the Zion hover tech and stuff like that. Like it comes right down and it just hovers around the rock and just mines the shit out of it. I can see advantages.
But then in also commenting on your question about ships that have alien tech, you mean like the Mystic Expanse that they talk about having the Xeon tractor beam and
but what does that mean?
What does that mean?
And what is the difference between a human tractor beam and a Zion one? The color?
That's my thing. That was part of my problem with the Odyssey. They tell us it's got a Xeon gravity generator and Xeon. Who gives the rats? Tell me why these features make it better than
Rule of Cool. That's it.
Rule of Cool or anything else. Now, at least with the Expanse, I like the fact that they actually did try it, and I suppose even with the Odyssey because it is a mess ship, I like the fact that they did try to tie in that history of this company works with and uses Xeon tech.
Wouldn't you rather something like
that company? It's not out.
Wouldn't you rather something? Sorry, Algared, but wouldn't you rather something like a Zion refinery? That to me is what I'll be like, oh, what does that mean?
If they can tell me, how that makes it different.
But that would explain also why it only does Contanium.
Yeah, it's what makes that gravity generator on the Odyssey so special that it's Xeon. What is it more efficient? Does it mean I use less fuel? Does it mean it had better ability to give me that sense of gravity? Does it mean whatever? If I've got the lift, what happens if there's no power? Does it How does it work? Is there a hand crank system? Whatever else, or does it mean it's just frozen?
I think
what things when you say it is alien or has this aspect of it makes it better than the human aspect?
I also think majority-wise, when you're talking alien, you're generally talking Cyan, because the Banus are traders. I don't think they do a lot of mining or anything like that. We also know they have not many ships. They tend to have the best of in class for their ships, and that's why, like, I think that's written in their law, so they deliberately didn't have to make a lot of Banu ships. And they also cross-pollinated the Cyan with the humans, so they could roll, like you said, they can roll the whole series a little bit into. So when you go into Cyan space, it would be really common to see a whole series, yeah. You know what I mean? So and because the whole series is quite a common ship, it just, I could tell it means that they don't have to make as many ships. And that they could literally just retext the whole series to be metallic red, and it's the alien hull. So I do think there is a limitation to the alien ships in this game, but I would have to say, I don't know if you disagree with me, but I would say when you're talking alien, we're generally looking more at Cyan, yeah, than Banu as a whole.
I think originally we were. They've certainly reworked the law, whereas the Suloi specialise in different areas. So we've now got it used to be they all have this ship and their family ships, and they all get together to be the military. And now we've got a Suloi that specialises in military ships, and they build the Defender. We've got other. Right, take care, Badgers.
See you, Badgers.
Good night, fellas. Catch you in a bit.
See ya.
He's dying. So I think we may find they do have other ships, but it's more likely. But for the reasons you said, the reason they did that is so that they didn't have to.
Yeah.
If they just take the best, they find someone who does something really well, so they just use that.
It's
That's
the same.
what they're gonna do, So.
Like a lot of law reasons are so they don't have to do things. So another one would be like AI or robots, because they had to make more animations and all that stuff for robots. Where if they just go, robots suck, and they took them out law reasons, that just saves so much work. I'll tell you one thing that they can't avoid, though, besides me and you, I've never heard anyone else ever mention this, is children. Where are the children in the game? There are no children anywhere. So now it's all just, we're all just clones that get reproduced. But if we're meant to be having kids that we hand our stuff on to, where are they? And I've frozen again. Oh, this is terrible. You get what I mean? Like, why is there no kids in the game?
Because they've got to get past censorship.
That's it as well. Yeah, that's it as well.
That's the legal
Well,
reason,
you can just make it so there's only ever kids at landing zones. That would solve the entire problem. Because you can't shoot people when you're in a land. Well, you maybe eventually be able to.
Yeah, or even children just playing in the parks of,
or even if they're just through a window and they're just in the like, kids are raised to a certain level by institutions or whatever. Point is, they need
pass a building and the children in school or with kids busted on the window.
So I'm just reading what Doctrine said there. No kids because everyone's a clone of themselves, but they've actually said you, after a couple of deaths, you have to pass yourself on to your next of kin. So there has to be some kids at some point. So yeah, unless they're all artificially created, so we don't have sex anymore in this game. It's just you pick someone to breed with and they breed them in a test tube. That could be a way around it as well. So they either have to give us a law reason or we need kids in the game. But yeah. What was the next question? Because he was reading them and I...
Next question. Let's see. We got up to guns.
So new ships released during New Week. I'm looking, praying for a large cap. Oh, here we go. Question: Loud guns. No, we're up to here. Loud guns. Question: this is from Loud Guns. I'm still betting or praying for a large capital Argo refinery ship. Anyone want to take the action? Oh, we did that one. Thanks, guys, for answering.
And we've done the what would you do for a Scar Kitten? So we've done this Constellation, able to fit the elevator. Eduardo, I think, is the next one. Thanks for asking the question. No worry. We've got a lot of them.
How will the Expanse
get rid of waste
from the refining process?
Probably dump it in space.
It's a sorter. It's got so that big tumbrel thing in the middle. When I talked to Tecton, he's literally says it looks like a giant rock tumbler, and I think that's why it's all open, so you can see it spin and do what it does. So yeah, the Expanse has the sorter where when you go to the mole has the sorter. So I think they're just moving it around to differentiate and tie them to each other. So the Prospector's got to work with the Expanse, and the mole's got to work with the. And if you think about that, so if you rocked up to a whatever the Argo Mole refinery ship is, and the shit's not sorted, can that refine it, or does it also need a sorter just for when it's dealing with prospectors?
I would say it could refine it. Just means your yield is going to be significantly less.
Yeah. So you kind of want to stay in your lane, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to refine it so you're actually getting more yield for what you're putting in, because the cost of refining is going to be the same. So that would be my gut feeling.
So this is obviously a later question here from Janos Morissette. Question: what surprise ship are we expecting for Invictus? Just the Expanse or more? So as we said, the Drake Mule, the Star Bomber, and then because it's Alien Week, I would say it's an Alien ship or MISC. That's kind of what we talked about. Yeah, Algared. Unless you want to add to that.
Yep. No, I think that's pretty much it. We expect there's usually a vehicle, a small ship, a small ship, vehicle, and then a big ship. In terms of going back to a question we had earlier about what type of refinery, you could it won't happen, but there are the Vandal refining ships, the ones that just jump up Earth, and it'll be cool. But they won't do it.
They could do it. They could do an Xperia Vandal miner. I wouldn't rule that out.
Yes, I suppose based on the militaries, to help the military work out how to destroy them and practice our flights against them. So yeah,
there you go. Sebastian asked a question. I think you're imagining the Unicron from Transformers movie. So I think he's talking about when I was talking about how I said the Starfarer looks like the Voltron laying down. Potentially, but it's very, you can tell it's that type of. So I thought of the black line from Voltron. That's what it reminds me of. Like I'd almost see some doing a mod where the Starfarer's visor flips down and you can see a face there. Like and once I said it to Badges in his game. He's like, "You bastard! I can't unsee that now." But like, yeah, that's why I brought it up today. But yeah. Anyway, last question. Kishi Kin asks, question, do you think the Expanse will be unfairly rewarded by quantum pricing, where they can benefit from locations over mining, limited refining, as long as long-range strategic refining? So that'd be really cool. I only just thought of that when he said that. Imagine if you could actually take fuel out of the Expanse and put it into other ships, because that means the prospectors and that could stay out for longer. But then it treads on the feet of the Starfarer. But could you jerry can it? Well, we've talked about jerry canning a few times. Yeah.
Mind you, if I was taking a refinery ship out and I wanted to expand the length of my ships, I'd take a Starfarer.
Yep.
Refuel my ships from a Starfarer and have it do the refining.
Yeah, I think it steps too much on the Starfarer, because that Starfarer is really specialized now. Like, it's just fuel. And well, obviously it can refine other stuff just like the refineries can, but because it's only got 3 refineries, that really drags it back to and now they're talking about the qualities of fuel. Like, let's say it just does quantanium. That's 3 different qualities of quantanium and nothing else. So you'd probably go something like, hydrogen and then 2 different levels of quantanium and you're done. Like, there's not a lot of room there.
Well, you do your hydrogen and your different levels of hydrogen. The advantage of all those refinery ships with the extra containers, certainly for the Expanse, not the Expanse, well, even the Expanse, because it's got 8 containers, the Starfarer with a 6, is the fact that you could put, high quality racing hydrogen in one fuel, low grade in another container, quantanium in a third one, high grade quantanium in a fourth one. So you could have 6 different qualities.
It depends whether you can
hydrogen, and they can all be different grades.
Yeah, but it depends whether you can change the reactors while you're out and about, and if you can't change, so it's like pull out a subcomponent and put another one in. If it's like that, 100% agree with you. But if you've got to go back to station, that really limits it. I just want to. The Doctrine just said in thing, if fuel flows can be reversed, and they can. Because you can actually mix tanks by mistake, which is interesting.
Which Execute has done in the past. There was other.
No, I haven't done it. I just know you can. I tested it.
Okay. There was other discussion talking about the alien ships, and I didn't see who said it. But I know did jump in, I think it was Starlet, and saying alien ships should be rare, and they were originally supposed to be rare.
Yeah.
That was the original idea of the Banu merchantman was supposed to be the hand-me-down ship from a Banu Sului that you've got your hands on. They were supposed to be rare as hen's teeth.
I'm a bit shitted about the Banu merchantman because it became before 2014. It didn't fall into the same rules as other ships. So like, the 890 jump, how it's like limited and stuff. The Banu merchantman's never been that way, right? And if the Banu merchantman had the same rules applied to it as the 890 jump, it'd be rare as shit. Teeth. Yeah, and that's how it was implied because I brought it on the first day when it ever came out, and I actually said, can I melt my Starfarer? I actually contacted Chelsea and got her to melt my Starfarer, and then I put the extra money in and bought the Banner Merchantman, and then about 2 months later I said, look, I've got the money back now for the Starfarer, can I rebuy that back? And they're like, absolutely. Try and do that today. Good damn luck ever doing that, but yeah, so that's how I got my Banner Merchantman on that one day. It was only available for one day, so they made it sound really rare. Like, oh, this is going to...
And it was supposed to be really rare. It was supposed to be like the Vanduul scythe.
What's the law there, Algared? Because they talk about the hand-me-down of that ship. It's like a generational ship that they hand down.
It was supposed to be a generational ship that the Sulu would pass on family to family. You'd have families living on the ship for generation and generation. And so if you got one of these, it was like rare as anything. But now everyone's got one.
Yep.
And it's been and because it hasn't been under that same 890 jump or other limited types ship sales.
Let's hope millions
of the Idris or the...
Let's hope millions of people come into the game and it's rare again. That's all I can say. Like, if heaps of people join and you have to have like a really high rep with a Banu or a particular Sulu to even get one, that's how the rarity goes back up. So only us that we're at the beginning. Yeah.
My understanding is that, as Robert says, the law has changed. And I think the law changed when they expanded out the Banu. So if they expanded out the Banu and said, okay, it's not just families, it's actually Sulu. Sulu are extra groupings. They actually specialise in different areas.
It's all about the money, Algared. You know it as well as I do.
So that changed the law just in the game sense. But in terms of the law for why there's so many Banu, I think it's the Banu. Yes, they are Banu ships. Yes, they're manufactured by Banu, but they're actually the Banu merchant ship is modelled on their generational ship or the ship that they use for that. They're actually built for the human market. And that's the only way I can see it working as to why there are so many.
It also, Algared, like going back to what we said about them not having as many ships because they tend to have the cream of the crop, like they have the best engines from here and their best guns from here, because they even have Vandal tech on some of their stuff. So they've got Zion tech, human tech. They just buy and sell, and they get the best of everything to build their ships. They at the moment they've only got 2 ships,
and it's not necessarily the best at. It's not necessarily the best tractor beam or the best quantum drive or the best, or the best weapons. It's what they consider to be the best at what it does for what they want to do. So if they're trying to do combat and they say, and that's a particular style of combat, and they say, this is the best gun for this, that's what they use. If they're after a tractor beam that does, sucks stuff out or whatever it is, that's it, and that humans have got that, that's the one they'll use. But humans could have a better tractor beam that does whatever, but if they don't have a use for it, it's irrelevant to them. So it's not. It's a different way of looking at it than just saying, oh, it's the best of the best. It's the best that they consider that does the job. So
we talked in the past, Algared, like if Banu were going to have more ships, it had to be something along the mercantile line, and the one we always talked about was like a solo, like a single shop ship, like a bazaar or whatever. Like you know what I mean, like it's like one little ship that lands, and the top part was the top like. We drew it out in Photoshop at one point, and basically it was like the top is the cockpit with a bed in it, and you kind of live up the top. You go down like a spiral staircase at the back, and it's literally just like a shop with a cash register in the middle, and you walk around and there's things for sale, and you literally walk in the front door, and it's just a shop, and then it just flies off and flies. So you got to fit it to the theme, and then you go to Zion are more about, you know, cargo and exploration and stuff like that. And I remember reading earlier what Essay said. He was in chat, and he literally said they're more likely cargo and logistics and exploration and stuff like that. They're a little bit like Origin in that way, you know, except the exception is Banu has got the shop stuff going for them. So you can limit what they do. But would I love to see like a Zion miner? The only one we ever saw, Algared, now I think about it, was, remember the really tall cargo Zion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from years ago. And their aesthetic has changed. Their aesthetics, though, has changed now. Sorry. And
you know, we know when you think of the way the Zion and Banu are, they're very similar. The Banu have their family groups that specialize in each different thing. And at the moment, we now know there's a military one. We know there's you know, kind of a market one, and we know there's and a few other things, but we don't really know the whole extent of all the things. So they've probably got mining Sulu, they've probably got refining Sulu, they've probably got others, you know, Army Sulu, Navy Sulu, whatever.
So I just want to ask this
question. Xeon, on the other hand,
someone just asked a question. I'll answer it really quickly. Breezy just said, "Do we feel that the Expanse will refine quantum fuel and be able to transfer it to the Star-R5?" I think yes, because of these nozzles on top. So I think you'll be able to connect with the boom arm on the Star-R5 to this port, just like any other ship, and if it and just basically suck it back through the boom arm into the tanks. Right. Sorry, I could.
If I was looking at that to change, I wouldn't go from the first port. I'd look at that second port where the refineries are.
I'll get into that later, but we actually think that might be to load reactor materials into for the reaction process of the actual refining process, because it connects directly to the refineries. Where if it does have fuel tanks, like we suspect it would be the other one, but that's an argument for another day.
But to go back to the thing on the Xeon and Banu, for Xeon, rather than having family groups, they actually go to a system and say, okay, this system is going to be a farming system, and so that planet is just farming. This planet is manufacturing, they're just doing manufacturing. This planet is military, that's just military. And they kind of decompartmentalize parts of their system, so they can those areas they become really, really good at that. So they're very similar in that sense, but the Banu are more at a social level rather than a planetary level. So yeah.
All right then.
Yes, Kishkin does say possibly for Xeon Tech add more hand wavium, and yes, it is.
That was brought up, that there could be different saddlebags for liquids and gases and stuff like that. Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there though, because we did talk about that earlier. Is there anything else you want to say, Algared, before we kind of log off?
Hit that like button if you like what we're doing and you want us to keep doing that. Don't forget to hit the bell, especially on YouTube, because it feeds the algorithm. Make sure you leave your comments, because we love your comments. We do read every comment that is put on those. I know you might find it hard to believe, but we do.
Damn camera. Sorry.
And you know, feel for Execute, who's suffering that what I usually do with my camera freezing all the time. I do find with what we're using, it's often when I'm switching between programs, my camera will freeze, and if you're doing that, that's probably why you're having a type of problem as well.
And I am doing that. That's exactly what I'm doing, bro. Yeah.
And that's whenever I find I freeze if I change applications. So it's a frustration and an annoyance. If you really do like what we're doing and you want to support us, there's always our YouTube, what's the thing that I can never remember what it's called. That's how much
YouTube memberships is what it's called.
YouTube membership. That's how much we've got it working at the moment. I don't even know what it's called. But there's also Patreon.
The main reason we wrap these up after 3 hours, though, is me and Algared get up at 7 o'clock and we go straight into this. Don't even generally have breakfast. Like, I haven't eaten, and it's now 11:30. So we've gone for over We're getting up.
Well, I do have breakfast, but I get up.
I
do have breakfast before it, but I get up at 5.
I literally got straight out of bed. You know that. I got straight out of bed and I was straight on thumbnail and off we went. And I basically had a drink of water and I had 2 cups of tea. And as soon as I stand up, my blood is going to go all the time. But yeah, so that we're just only human. Only human. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, if we could talk for longer, we would. But also doing this once a week, we don't want the questions to dry up.
And we'd like to be able to get more streaming. And to go back to that streaming question and the problems with playing the game, we were having lots of problems, but we were also in the test universe, so not the PU, so which is also a test universe too. So yeah.
I will be talking to you next week, Grim. He's just stated something there because something you did triggered something we've done, but you'll find out about it soon. So yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Algared, but we don't have to say anything.
Yep.
So something he did triggered something we did. So yeah, you'll find about it soon, Grim. All right then. With that, we'll head off, and there will be another show this week. Can't kind of allude to the title because actually this week's show came from this stream, but last week because someone asked that question, and we just went, "Well, what if?" and what would it take? And that's where that episode came from. So it shows that you guys do influence us and the other way. We do have 2 people up for possible Fix My Fleets, so we've found some people for Invictus when that comes up as well. So look forward to those. But they're drying up these days. It's hard to find good ones.
It's hard to find people who.
But that means we've done our job.
To do a video with, and partly it's because we've sold the drink aid or the Kool-Aid to people, and people are coming to the channel, and before we even get a chance, people have jumped in and boom, 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 and they say, thanks, I'm sold now.
But people do send the good ones that have got learning things along to us and stuff like that. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just the nature of. It's nice to know you.
I can see KFC in my future. I want to get out of here.
Oh, there you go. He wants to get out. Anyway.
All right. With that, he's been Algared.
Thanks for joining us.
Go ahead.
He's been the old man. I'm Algared, about to execute. I'm the handsome one. He's the thug.
Just lean forward a little more so I can just lean forward so I can brush my eyebrows off your face. No, just kidding.
Just rise up before a hoary head and on the eyes. Just remember that. If you don't do that, a bear comes out and mauls you.
All right, everyone, have a good weekend. The show will be out on Monday your time, US. All right, with that, have a good one. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Take care.